Sophie Eccleston, Kate Cross, Tara Norris, Phoebe Graham, and Sophie Morris. Terrific news to have the big names back in the side for Lancashire this afternoon. Just how much of a boost does that give everybody here, do you think? We could hear from the crowd reactions. People were really excited about seeing the likes of Sophie Eccleston and Kate Cross back in this afternoon.
It's brilliant. When you've got the best bowler in the world here at Emirates Old Trafford, it just makes everyone so excited. But yeah, I think it really boosts the standard of the competition. The regional players are absolutely fantastic, but having those England players come back into the fold is just really exciting. And I think it also is great for some of the regional players, because they can try and get out, you know, for example, Tammy Beaumont, or Sophie Eccleston might bowl to a young batter, and I think that's just really nice and exciting for those players that they have that opportunity.
Fingers crossed we get to see that as a battle, though. Sophie Eccleston up against Tammy Beaumont, as you say, best bowler in the world against an absolutely legendary England batter. That could be a great battle, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're two players that know each other really well and are really good at what they do, so I think that would be a really exciting battle. Tammy Beaumont will be at the top of the order, so if she sticks around and gets Sophie Eccleston bowling at her, I think that would make great competition.
Lots of lovely battles all over the place. Are there any in particular that you're really looking forward to as far as this game is concerned?
That's a good question. I think, as you mentioned, having Sophie Eccleston come up against Tammy Beaumont, I think that would be really exciting. I guess there's the question of the Scots, so Elsa Lister, if she's playing against Catherine Bryce, I think that would be quite interesting. Again, two players that know each other really well, so I think when internationals come up against each other, it's always quite exciting. Yeah,
you'll hear Elsa Lister plenty, because she's got a good voice on her. It's probably fair to say she does like to shout a lot when she's out there, doesn't she? But what do you make of the way the spirit in this side is really starting to come together in this team?
Yeah, definitely. I think we mentioned about one club mentality and things like that, but I think the ethos of the club and the way that everyone's kind of come together, I think is really good. And they haven't had the easiest couple of years. They've struggled quite a bit on the pitch, but actually the kind of the group mentality that they've created here, I think, is really positive, and it will only help them on the pitch.
And just a word about the conditions, because the sun's gone in a little bit. The wind is really starting to pick up here quite a bit, which, when it's blowing in from this side, can have quite an effect on the ball movement as well. Given the fact that Lancashire have decided that they want to bat first, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think it might make it a bit difficult, but at the same time, we're in Manchester. The players are used to the variable weathers up here, so I don't think it's too much of a concern for either side, really. And I think Ellie Frelkad, at the end of the day, I think she made the right decision and the decision she wanted to go with, so I think it's good they've stuck with that.
And a good crowd in here this afternoon. Obviously, we've got a lot of people who stuck around after the men's game. Great to see so many people coming in to watch this match.
Yeah, it's brilliant to see so many people here. Regional cricket, it's on the rise, and I think it will only get better with these double headers. I think it's a great opportunity for fans of the men's team who perhaps haven't had the opportunity to watch the women's team before. They can just stick around and enjoy the cricket as the sun sets, because I think it'll be a great display today, and also to see so many young children around, so many young girls. Perhaps some of them play for Lancashire age groups or their local club, but actually for those that don't, it's a great opportunity for them to see the women's game and see what opportunities there are out there for them.
Yeah, there'll be so many young girls in here, for example, who will be watching some of the great stars that we've got out here this afternoon and looking around at these surroundings and thinking, I want a piece of this. This is what I want to be doing in the near future.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I remember when I was a lot younger, it was great to go to games and see people who aren't even that much older than you, but you can think, oh, do you know, maybe I could do that one day. And that's really exciting. And there are so many opportunities at grassroots level or county level for girls to get involved with cricket. And yeah, it's great to see that those opportunities becoming more accessible to people. And it's only going to make the standard of the game better. In 10 years' time, people in the stands now could be playing cricket.
So we've got, just under 10 minutes to go now before we get off and underway. If you haven't heard the news and you're only just joining us, Lancashire Thunder have won the toss and they've decided to have a bat against the Blaze. Team sheets are in. We're all pretty much ready to go. We'll hand you upstairs and join Scott.
Cheers, Fraser. Yeah, we're all set to go for this second part of this T20 doubleheader here at Emirates Old Trafford on a nice, pleasant Sunday afternoon. And we've enjoyed a really good first match, and a good win. And it was a pretty comfortable win in the end, wasn't it, really, for Lancashire Lightning? What can Thunder produce in the second game? They played well here on Thursday to beat the Central Sparks by 3 wickets. Have had a couple of days break and back in action against the Blaze today. Central Sparks on Thursday came into that fixture unbeaten, and they lost for the first time here. The Blaze are in the same situation. They've played 4 and won 4. Mike Perkins alongside me, so it's going to have to be the repeat again, isn't it, for Thunder? They managed to end Central Sparks' unbeaten record on Thursday. Blaze come here with 4 wins from 4. Can they do it again?
Yeah, the Blaze will be quite glad they ended that run, because the Blaze then beat them the day after as well at Trent Bridge. So Central Sparks have had a bad couple of days, having been in pole position. It's now the Blaze are in pole position. They've had 4 wins from 4 in this competition. Funnily enough, they're not actually top, because South East Stars have managed to just pip them on run rate at the moment. But for Thunder, you were seeing the wickets that they took the other day against Central Sparks. They were in top form that day. Fee Morris, who you're seeing getting an LBW there, she was in form with the bat as well. And as you say, Scott, it's a case of just repeat that performance here at home, get the win, and get themselves in a good position in the table. They're 2 wins from 2 at the moment. They're 4th going into this game. Last season, when it was 7 games in the competition, they managed to get it in with 4 wins and 3 defeats, but they were the 3rd qualifier, if you like. So it was a nervy last day, as you remember, at Blackpool, although they performed very well in that one. 10 games this season, so where this game is the halfway point, they will want to be having more wins than losses at the halfway point of the competition.
Yeah, just been seeing some of the wickets fall in that game on Thursday, as you mentioned, Mike, with Central Sparks 121 for 8. They were batting first, so it's a target of 123 to win. We saw Fee Morris taking a couple of wickets in that highlights reel there. She also batted beautifully with the bat, making 43 at the top alongside Emma Lamb. We can look at some of her performances, some of the shots that she managed to successfully execute on Thursday. She's increasingly a really important player, isn't she, for Thunder? She obviously bats and bowls, and that experience that she brings as well, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, she was 5th top run scorer in this competition last season with 209, a best of 44, also made 42 against the Northern Diamonds, which is always helpful getting runs against the local rivals, but 43 off 38 against Central Sparks. I mean, that shows that she is still in top form, and I think she'll be looking for another big one today. And she had a big one, I suppose, in that partnership in the Rachel Hayhoe Flynn Trophy as well. But that was the partnership with the overseas Katie Mack on that day, and that all but won the game against Sunrisers. Really, there was no chance that Sunrisers were going to chase down almost 300 that day after such a good performance from those two. But these are the days you want to do it, isn't it, where you're following on from the T20 Blast game. A decent number seem to be sticking around and staying in the stands to watch this one. Why wouldn't you on a day which has been so gloriously warm here in Manchester? There's a nice little cool breeze just to take the edge off it. Lovely day to stay in those stands, get a drink and enjoy another good game of cricket here. So I think this will be a day where Fee Morris really sort of goes, right, I'm a big game player. I want to make sure that I go out and perform here today. But there are other good big game players in that lineup. The likes of Emma Lamb, who's been in international form. We've got Sophie Eccleston and Kate Cross coming back in as well, of course, who they'll be looking to do it with the ball with their 373 international wickets between them across all formats.
This is the same pitch that the first game was played on here today, and it's also the same pitch that was used on Thursday. So this is match number 4 on this pitch. There wasn't massive amounts of turn for the men earlier on today. There was a little bit. Obviously Chris Green got wickets, but the 4th match being played on this surface, you would expect it to be a little tired, to be a little bit slower, and maybe that, and obviously it's quite dry today, so that maybe potentially brings in the spinning options. We mentioned Fee Morris, who we can see there, so she's going to have a big role to play.
She looks relaxed, doesn't she?
She did look a bit relaxed. That's quite nice, though. And obviously getting Sophie Eccleston back. I mean, Sophie could bowl on any pitch and be a success, but on something like this that's being used for the 4th time, that's really significant.
I mean, it's not, let's be honest, it's not going to be a 4th innings pitch of a county championship game, is it? But I think there will be a little bit more there. It was quite interesting in that first game. I heard a lot of talk about the the very quick bowlers were getting something out. The quickest bowlers on show were getting a little bit back from it, and that probably meant the spinners weren't used quite as much as they might have been. But in this game here, the difference will be, you know, you're not going to see a ball bowled at 90 mile an hour in this game, so the spinners will come into it more. So having Sophie Ecclestone in your team is absolutely ideal, because Sophie Ecclestone's such a top performer, 25 years of age now from Chester, 251 international wickets across all competitions, including 118 in T20 cricket. I mean, you can't get a better performer than that to bring into your team. She is the world's best, and you know, whatever the rankings might say at this point, I'm not sure whether she's 1, 2 or 3 at the moment, but you know, she is always up there in the top 3 of those rankings, and very often she is top, and that is because she is the best women's cricketer in the world with the ball in hand. There's no doubt about that, and you're going to get a perfect opportunity to see her perform today.
Yeah, great boost for Lancashire Thunder to have Sophie Ecclestone and of course Kate Cross back in the side as well. I look down that Thunder team, and that looks as strong as I've seen for a while. That you look at Lam and Morris at the tops, Sarah Smale, who we've mentioned, has made a really encouraging start to her career. You've got Ellie coming in, you've got Sophie and Kate Cross, you've got some good fast bowlers with Phoebe, you've got some good spinning options in there. That looks a really well balanced team for me.
The thing I notice is they've left Hannah Jones out, the leading wicket taker. I mean, she's not had a great Charlotte Edwards Cup so far, and that'll be why they've left her out. But I mean, to leave a player of, I mean, the thought they could leave Hannah Jones out after she came into the side and did so well early in this iteration of regional cricket, as it's become known. The thought they could leave a player of that quality out, and bear in mind, you know, Alex Hartley's retired as well, who was the second leading wicket taker, the wicket taker that Hannah Jones overtook. I mean, to think they can leave a player of Hannah Jones's quality out of the side now and still look like they've got all bases covered, I mean, it really does show. But look, the Blaze have not lost yet. They are a very good team as well. So, I mean, I think you know, it's got all the makings, it's got all the ingredients, as they like to say, for an absolute classic here today. You don't want to say that at this stage. It could end up being one-sided, but it's got everything right there. We've got a Thunder team looking to get up towards the top of the table, and we've got a Blaze team who are up there challenging at the top and unbeaten so far.
I know it's early doors, but you know, for this season, it's early under the kind of the role of Chris Reed as the new head coach.
Yeah,
they feel like Thunder are as well equipped now to actually try and get some silverware as they maybe ever have been. Yeah.
I think the aspect you've got to remember is so is everyone else. Everyone else is in the best position they have been in this year. And the team you've got to beat still are the Vipers, and they are ominously placed just behind Thunder with 2 wins from 2 as well. So that is the challenge. They've got to finals day before they need to get there again.
Okay, not too far away from the start. Let's head outside. Here's Fraser.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the field our umpires for the afternoon, Gabby Brown and Naeem Ashraf. And please welcome to the pitch our visitors for the afternoon, the Blaze. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Emirates Old Trafford, Lancashire Thunder.
Well, Hello everybody, and I hope you are enjoying our coverage here on Lancs TV on YouTube as well as on the BBC Sport website, thanks to BBC Radio Manchester, BBC Radio Lancashire. Scott Reed from those two radio stations will be back with us in a minute. Polly Starkey has joined me up in the commentary box here, and we are ready to get underway, Polly, and this is always an exciting moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game as well. I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, the Blaze 4 from 4, looking to go 5 from 5, but the Thunder, who have found really good form at home here at Emirates Old Trafford.
Now, I don't think the umpire's waving at us up here in the Brian Statham end. I think that was to the scorers, but that means we are ready to get underway. Grace Ballinger at the back of her mark, and settling over the bat is Emma Lamb, Preston's finest, waiting for the first delivery of this game in the Charlotte Edwards Cup T20. Lancashire Thunder versus the Blaze. It's pushed into the offside. Nadine de Klerk, the leading wicket taker from last year's competition, is there with the fielding. It's a dot ball. We are underway. Do you agree with that assessment, that we've got all the ingredients here for an absolute classic? I mean, after one ball, you don't want to say that because it could be very one-sided, but everything's there, isn't it, Polly Starkey?
It really is. I mean, you've got World Cup class players, you've got a lot of exciting young players, and it's all just kind of mixing together very well.
Left arm over the wicket from Ballinger, driven into the offside. Nadine de Klerk picks up and then drops it, and it matters not because the batters are quite happy to remain in their creases. Two with that loss, one off the back foot, one off the front foot. They both ended up in the hands of Nadine Klerk at cover, but neither of them went there without a bounce, so we're all right. The sun's back as well here in Manchester. It's been a lovely day, hasn't it? It's been one of those days that we use to sort of lure people in here and get them to move here, as you have from the Midlands, Polly Starkey. You've been lured in here. Was it a sunny day like this that did it for you? As Grace Ballinger bowls, left arm over the wicket, it's a full toss, it's clapped down the ground, but it finds Marie Kelly, rather to the frustration of Emma Lamb, who looks ruefully towards the hotel because I think she feels she should have put that one in there. Dot ball.
Before I moved here, I think the only times I'd visited Manchester, it'd always been sunny.
Okay.
And so I was under the impression that it doesn't rain in Manchester, and I got here and got drenched on my first day and had to buy a waterproof coat. So I was proved wrong very, very quickly. There
you go. Now, I was speaking to somebody just the other week who got lured in by the sunshine, but it does happen, and it's happening today as this one is pulled into the onside. There's going to be another single just behind square. One without loss. Lancashire Thunder underway. Warm applause. Decent number have stayed around. You'd like to see a few more. I mean, why would you miss out on free cricket in the sunshine? Sit down with a nice cool drink and enjoy the sort of little cool breeze taking the edge off it. But plenty are doing that. I mean, we've got people in every stand. I would say this is sort of a 100 crowd, if you like, the sort of crowds we've been getting for the Manchester Original women's games.
Yeah, it tends to be a couple of more in for the 100, but it is a decent crowd, better than normally in regional cricket because of the double header.
Here comes Grace Ballinger bowling outside the off stump. It's reaching, really, by Fee Morris. I think if she'd not reached that far, she'd have probably got a wide for that one. But she's probably quite frustrated that she's hit it straight at cover points on the floor for no run. But there we go.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Grace Ballinger's bowling actually over the years. She's got a bit of pace on her, and her action's quite unique. So I've enjoyed watching her develop over the years because she's still pretty young. She took a 5 for,
I think, against Thunder at Hazelgrave, and that really seemed to be a kind of a rival as a bowler. That one seems to have taken the pad. Morris is through for the single. In fact, there must have been a little whisker of bat on it on the way onto Fee Morris's pad, because she's been credited with the run. 2 without loss, 1 to Lamb, 1 to Morris. A fairly sedate start, but a start that I think both sides will be fairly content with, Polly Starkey.
Yeah, I think it's a decent start with the ball for the Blaze, but nothing too concerning from the Thunder, either from a batting perspective. There's plenty of overs to go, so plenty of time to prove. You mentioned about Grace Ballinger's fifer. I believe that was my commentary debut actually at Hazelgrave.
Was it?
Yeah,
there you go. It was a good game, that, wasn't it? Ali Threlkel got runs from memory.
Yeah, I think there was a century potentially in there, and yeah, Grace Ballinger getting that fifer, and that did feel like a turning point, because before that she'd, you know, people knew who she was. She was on the circuit, but I don't think she'd had that big performance yet, and that fifer kind of changed things a little bit.
Well, before that, my notes said things like, you know, she's got an interest in distance running and stuff like that. It sort of wasn't very crickety as Kirsty Gordon comes on to open the bowl, and that's been hit up in the air, and it's going to be caught by Josie Groves at backward point, and it's a soft dismissal, if we're honest. Top edge into the air. Lancashire Thunder find themselves 2 for 1 It is very, very out. It couldn't be more out, really, from Fee Morris. I'm not quite sure what she's waiting around for. She went for the reverse sweep, went for the inventive approach, and I think, unfortunately for her, that is what can happen if you go for the inventive approach against a bowler of Kirsty Gordon's quality, who takes the lead in the wicket-taking column for this season in the competition. She goes up to 9, so she has the most wickets in the competition now. Yeah,
it was a bit of an unnecessary shot. I think it was quite early to play that on, but I guess that's the style that Lancashire Thunder want to play. But, you know, when you've got backward point there, it feels like a bit of a silly shot to play, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get out to it. I
think that shows her confidence, though. She was thinking, right, backward point and short third are there, but we can get a boundary here. You know, she was thinking boundaries in the power play, which certainly when we spoke to her in that Karnataka game, she said, which was the pre-season match over in Bangalore, she was saying, I want to open the batting because I want to take advantage of the power play. And I suppose you've got another opener in Seren Smale coming in now for the second ball of the second over, and pushes it down the onside, up to long on for 1 run. 3 for 1. Seren Smale picking up, and as I say, you've almost got a backup opener here in Seren Smale coming to the wicket. But I do think, in terms of, I say the commentator's curse does not exist. Me and Scott have given Fee Morris the big build-up. We put the VTs on the picture, the pictures on Lancs TV if you're watching on YouTube, as Kirsty Gordon makes her way into bowl to Emma Lamb, who's cutting and is looking to beat Josie Groves, who makes an excellent stop with her right hand. She's a very good netball player, Josie Groves, and I think we saw that in her footwork there across the ground. Keeps it to 1, 4 for 1. But I think we rather did Fee Morris there by giving her the big build-up, and as can be the way, she's out for 1. Only wicket to fall so far.
I will say there is still time with the ball for her.
There is, yes. That's the beauty of being an all-rounder, isn't it? As Smale looks to try and pull away into the onside, didn't really have the room. Tammy Beaumont there, she has international runs too, 6,094 of them in total across all formats. As in comes Kirsty Gordon again, down the wicket goes Smale, looks to touch this one into the onside. She's made under-19 honours, her Seren Smale at the under-19 World Cup was involved, doesn't find the gap there though, so still 4 for 1. Lots of dots early on. Just be a slight concern for Lancashire Thunder at the moment, as will be the 1 wicket they've lost. A few more people making their way back to their seats in the distance, which is good to see, as that one does turn appreciably, actually, and popped up off a leading edge. It's a dot ball into the offside. The captain, Gordon, who bowled the overs, picked it up. 4 for 1 at the end of the second, Polly Starkey. Did you notice a little bit of turn there yourself?
Yeah, there was a little bit of turn. A productive over for the Blaze, getting that wicket of Fee Morris, who, as yourself and Scott has mentioned, is a really big player and a really good player, but unfortunately it doesn't always come off in cricket, as we've seen today. But they do have that kind of backup opener of Seren Smale, and she's an exciting player. She's still only 19 years old, but what she's done so far in an England under-19 shirt and a Lancashire Thunder shirt has been very, very promising.
Do you think the fact that they've got Eccleston in the side as well as Sophie Morris and Fee Morris, as in comes Ballinger to bowl, and this one has been driven back to Ballinger, who gathers the ball mid-pitch. There's no run on offer, 4 for 1. Do you think the fact they've got those spin options, this is the 4th time the pitch has been used, has that played into the decision to bat first? Because you'd probably say the bowling is marginally stronger than the batting here for Lancashire Thunder.
Yeah, I would say their bowling is stronger, and they have a very strong spin department. Of course, with Sophie Eccleston coming back in, that is only strengthened even more. So I think that does play into it. It will give that advantage in the second innings.
Ballinger bowls, full toss, hit down the ground. Kelly's onto it quickly. This could be a run out. Ballinger was a little bit in the way there of Emma Lamb. I think there's a little word between the two of them. Lamb's fairly mild-mannered, it has to be said. I think Ballinger maybe less so. Anyway, 5 for 1 is the result with the single. It would have been gone if they did, and it was an apology, actually. It was an apologetic hand from Ballinger, it has to be said, for being in the way. I think Lamb had actually kind of run down the middle of the wicket there, which you're not technically meant to do, because she realised she was a bit short. Anyway, 5 for 1 is the score after all that. It was just a single, but such is the way T20 cricket can be. It was all very exciting. Touched off the leg. Nice shot by Seren Smale. She'll probably only get 1 for it here. She's going to look for 2, but she can't get back, even with the great expanses of the Old Trafford outfield. The ropes coming slightly away to our left-hand side as we look from the Statham end, so the cover boundary for the right-handed batter Emma Lamb, who's facing up. And the girl from Preston who just escaped a direct hit. I'm surprised Kelly missed it because they do a warm-up which is all about direct hits, the Blaze, where they have 3 stumps of varying heights and they have to keep trying to just hit them just to get themselves loose and get those arms loose. And they generally do hit them. It's the thing I've noticed as Beaumont there just tries a little grubby shy across the pitch, 6 for 1.
Yeah, Marie Kelly's a very good fielder. In fact, I fielded in the slips with her before.
With Marie Kelly?
Yeah,
oh, that's
I know.
Pretty
Fun
good.
fact. But yeah, her direct hits are normally really good. So yeah, it was slightly wide, and as you say, there was kind of a little bit more going on with Ballinger and Lamb potentially running down the wicket. We'll
remind you of scores elsewhere as well, because there are other games going on in this competition today. It's Ballinger bowls, and this one's hit through the offside. This is going to be a boundary, and look at that, it's greeted by applause and a little bit of a roar even from this Old Trafford crowd. The flags wave, the hands clap, the 4 and 6 boards are up. They should be the 4-way round, because that was 4 runs to the total. 10 for 1. We're coming towards the end of the 3rd over. First boundary for Thunder.
That was a really well-timed shot. Just beat the fielders, and it's a bit, we've mentioned it's a big pitch here at Emirates Old Trafford, so to reach the boundary can prove a challenge sometimes, but it was a very, very good shot.
Lancashire Lightning winning the first game here today at Emirates Old Trafford in the Blast. A convincing win as well, and Thunder looking to match them. Lancashire Lightning winning by 57 runs. What can Lancashire Thunder produce here as Grace Ballinger on her way, left arm, and that's a grubby little one that's beaten Sarah Bryce, the Scottish wicketkeeper. We'll find out if there was any bat involved. It looked like an under edge, if anything, from Emma Lamb, and she didn't get any bat involved, so that will be a bye to the total. 11 for 1. We've had 3 overs. We've not really had a big over yet for Thunder, but we have had a boundary there. Speaking of the scores elsewhere, Sunrisers today winning by 4 wickets against the Northern Diamonds in this competition. So Diamonds having a really torrid season in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. They were beaten here by Thunder in their opening fixture. South East Stars, they have also won by 6 wickets as Lanky goes for a little run in front of the spectators away in the distance. South East Stars beating Southern Vipers today by 6 wickets, so they're top of the table, looking in very good form in both competitions this season, Polly Starkey.
Yeah, Sunrisers had an incredible finish with Grace Scrivens batting. She was 64 not out to finish.
Right, it's going to be Catherine Bryce now from the James Anderson end. And that one's hit hard by Emma Lamb, but straight at cover. And that's rather been a theme in this innings, hitting the ball nicely, playing good strokes, but finding fielders. 11 for 1. They've probably lost about 12, maybe even somewhere in the region of 12 to 20 runs through hitting fielders, I think, already in this innings, as Lamb chops that one off the inside edge out towards the mid-wicket boundary, and there will be a single taken to the ever-busy Lucy Hyam, and that is 12 for 1.
Yeah, it can be difficult in the power play to get past those fielders, but at the same time, maybe they should be risking trying going up and over and just get some early runs, because I think that would set them up really well for the rest of the innings. It's
a 25-yard circle, so a 23-metre circle. I was reading the regs earlier. I was being that boring as that one creeps through outside the off stump into the gloves of Sarah Bryce from the bowling of her sister Catherine Bryce for a dot ball. And yeah, it's 23 metres or 25 yards, the fielding circle for this game. So 5 yards shorter than it was in the earlier game, as that was a strange ball. It's almost one of those I'd want to see again. I think it mainly took the pad of Smale, which stopped it getting to Sarah Bryce, but if not, it was a mis-stumping. It was a very bizarre one. Let's have another look at this now. Catherine Bryce bowls it. It beats on the inside edge, and I think that was a mis-stumping chance for Sarah Bryce. So she's not having the best time with the gloves at the moment as a Scottish wicketkeeper, who's a very, very talented with those gloves, as that one is played out into the offside. No run. Catherine Bryce, of course, was at the forefront of Scotland qualifying for the T20 World Cup by beating Ireland. She played very, very well in that game, did Catherine Bryce, and she's had 153 runs with the bat since returning with the Blaze, but she's got ball in hand at the moment as that one's played away into the offside. No run on offer. 12 for 1. Yeah, and those in that qualifier for the ICC T20 World Cup, Catherine Bryce with the ball took 4 wickets for 8 runs against Ireland and then hit 35 not out with the bat. I mean, that's what she's all about as a cricketer, isn't it?
It was a fantastic performance, and one which, you know, she got those early wickets, and that really destroyed Ireland, I think. And yeah, it was a fantastic performance, and for her to be there at the end, 35 not out, with her sister as well, when they've been to many World Cup qualifiers, and to finally qualify, and it'd be the first ever one that Scotland women have reached, is absolutely brilliant for them. The story was absolutely incredible.
Here's Grace Ballinger coming in from the Stay the Men. Plenty of shots of the crowd there on Lancs TV as that one's lifted on the ramp over the wicketkeeper's head, and this one was going to roll down towards the boundary. It will be hauled in, so it'll just be 2 to the total, but an enterprising start to the over from Emma Lamb, who's on to 10 with those 2 runs, 14 for 1. But yeah, I mean, the crowd looking in fine form today. Told some former Lancashire women's players are in amongst it today, which is good to see. As in comes Grace Ballinger to bowl. A bit of a chopped edge down the ground. Now this one will run for 4. That was a less well-played shot than the ramp from Emma Lamb. It was a big top edge that time, but it gets her 4 runs rather than 2, so she'll be happy. 18 for 1. The 4 board's been waved by the fans in the crowd.
You mentioned about former Lancashire women's players being here, and it's a very exciting time for women's cricket with the restructuring, and today Bryony Smith down at Surrey became the first professional Surrey women's players. Of course, she captains the South East Stars at the moment, but for that to be official and for county players to be becoming professional is very, very exciting.
Here comes Grace Ballinger, bowls, and that one's pushed down the offside of straight. Right out to mid-off, straight of mid-off, and Kirsty Gordon, the captain, comes across and keeps it to a single. So another 1 to Lamb's total, productive over, her most productive so far. She's taken 7 from it already, 19 for 1 the total moves on to. You're watching Lancs TV on YouTube and also listening to this commentary thanks to BBC Radio Manchester, BBC Radio Lancashire on the BBC Sport website. As pacing in comes Ballinger again. Delivers once more. Smale chops her drive into the pitch and can't take a run. We'll bring Scott Reed from those aforementioned radio stations back into the commentary position at the end of this. Oh no, he's not in the room. I thought he was there. I was doing a bit of on-air production. Apologies, everyone. I imagine we'll be bringing Scott back around about the end of the over, though, as Grace Ballinger is on her way in once more. And it's going to get those heels and knees up and bowls, and this one is outside edge down to 3rd by Seren Smale. Single on offer, 20 for 1, and there is 1 ball left in this 5th over. Polly Starkey, what are you making of the situation we find ourselves in at the moment?
Yeah, I think Thunder need a little bit of a breakthrough. They need a couple more boundaries. They are playing relatively well, but this is a very, very good Blaze side, and they'll need to get more runs on the board if they want to beat them here.
Yeah, you imagine it's one of those games that the bowling may well decide, actually, today, because both sides are so strong, but you'd probably say the Blaze have the stronger of the batting lineups, potentially, as that one isn't taken cleanly by Sarah Bryce, but it's through outside the off stump. It's a dot ball. We've had 5 overs of this innings. Polly Starkey, I will hand the commentary on to you. The score is 20 for 1 at the end of the 5th over.
Thank you, Mike. And yeah, 20 for 1 at the end of the over. Now, it's looking very, very interesting. As I've mentioned, the Blaze are a very strong side. Perhaps their batting strengthened by Tammy Beaumont back into the fold, but of course Thunder have Kate Cross and Sophie Eccleston as Bryce is continuing, and there'll be no run. Catherine Bryce, who we mentioned, has been in fine form with bat and ball. She's the all-rounder who also has a lot of leadership experience captaining Scotland. Bryce once again has chopped away, and it's going to be a stumping. Sarah Bryce has finally managed to stump Smale after that missed opportunity earlier on. Smale departs for 2 after facing 12 balls.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the replay of this in a minute, but that looked a far easier chance. Smale doing the right thing, really, trying to get on with it towards the back end of this power play, but the Bryce sisters combining, and that's an excellent stumping by Sarah off the bowling of Catherine. And it just shows in that position as a wicketkeeper, you've got to make sure that even if you're having a little bit of an iffy few overs, that it doesn't turn into a bad day and you take the next chance that comes, and she did that, so credit to her.
Yeah, a bit of redemption for Sarah Bryce there. But at the same time, it was the sort of shot you want to see Lancashire Thunder playing. Seren Smale went for that attacking option, and that's what she needed to do in this situation. It does bring Ellie Threlkeld, the captain, to the crease.
Yeah, Ellie Threlkeld, who didn't get any runs in the previous game, so she'll be wanting to prove herself in that respect. Gabby Brown umpiring at the far end as well is the other bit of information I've been able to glean today. She's former captain of Caythorpe CC in Nottinghamshire. She goes to Women's Cricket Week every week, so good to have her with us as well. She's just giving Ellie Threlkeld, the Lancashire Thunder captain, her guard, and I'm sure she'll have had a nice walk of the dog on Crosby Beach, and she's ready to do some batting.
Bryce once again, and that's just flicked into the leg side. They'll run through for the single to tick that score over to 22 for 2 if the board moves over.
I think it's 21.
It's 21
I think
for
it's
2.
21 for 2. They're pretty quick over there today.
Yeah, I was going to say they're really fast on it. Bryce once again, and that's defended back to the bowler. No run.
Very steady start this from Catherine Bryce, just hitting her line in length. Has got the wicket earlier in the over, so a little bit of pressure on Lancashire Thunder.
Bryce once again, and that's been chopped into the leg side. Ooh. Head to deep square leg, just the fielding. Josie Groves out there. Josie Groves, who we mentioned, is a bit of a netball player as well. She's been in the England Roses Academy and has managed to balance the two. I don't know whether her netball is still as prominent as it once was, because of course she's a professional cricketer now for the Blaze. As Bryce Threlkeld again, there'll be no run on offer, and the end of the over, 22 for 2.
Well, I suppose it shows, doesn't it, that we want cricket to be attracting the best athletes, and actually, because you can make a profession in it, they've perhaps been able to keep hold of somebody like Josie Groves, who's coming on to bowl here at now that the power play has ended. She's a leg spinner, but I thought her footwork, she was at sort of backward point, wasn't she? And Lamb hit it quite hard, and it probably would have gone for forward. She not made an excellent start, but the way she just sort of shuffled sideways with her feet, that felt very netball-y to me, Polly Stark. You're probably more of an expert in this than me, because I've certainly never played much netball. But yeah, it felt a sort of netball-y movement to me, that.
Yeah, I played a lot of netball at school. Can't say I was very good at it, but I did enjoy it, and yeah, that was quite a netball-y move. I really like seeing kind of dual athletes within the game, and it is great to see actually that Josie Groves it feels like she's siding with cricket a little bit more. The likes with her under-19 teammate Sophia Smale with the hockey, as Groves starts in fact, and she plays that to Lamb, and they'll run through for the single. But yeah, Sophia Smale played hockey for Wales age group, but has kind of had to give it up with cricket. Of course, injury risk is a big problem, and when you're professional in your contract, I know Ellie Threlkeld used to play football, but as soon as she joined the Thunder, she wasn't able to do that anymore because of injury risks.
And it will be interesting to see. I mean, Josie Groves has had England under-19 honours, as she has with the netball, as you were mentioning, but whether she can get to that international level in this sport, having chosen it professionally.
Once again, with her leg spin, and it goes behind the keeper. There won't be a run.
Neat sweep that, wasn't it? But just despite getting it so fine, couldn't get it out the ring.
Yeah, she's a very talented leg spinner, leg spin's very difficult to control, as that's been played into the offside by Ellie Threlkeld, charging through between the wickets with Emma Lamb.
These two just nudging it along at the moment, I feel, Polly Stark. You're just trying to not be too expansive.
Groves again, and that's defended down the ground, back to the bowler. Yeah, their run rate is quite slow, I think 3.6 and over, which isn't ideal for T20 cricket.
It's far from ideal.
No, indeed, yeah. I mean, you would hope they would get a couple more boundaries and boost that a little bit, because it feels like the game is slightly slipping away from them already, and that's on for a low-scoring thriller, as Lamb plays that down the ground to deep mid-wicket.
it's the wickets column that's kept that run rate down, isn't it, really? That's why these two are just sort of having to be a little cautious, although Lamb's used her feet on both of the last 2 occasions.
Groves for the final ball of the over. It's defended, slight misfield, but there won't be a run on offer. And at the end of the over, 25 for 2.
Yeah, she sort of went forward to defend and then realised the drive was on there. Threlkeld and managed to get a surprising amount of power into it, but that's sort of been the story, hasn't it? As I say, I almost felt like that power play could have been 20 runs more than it was had they just not hit fielders. They just kept hitting the fielder every single time on the back of the ring, and that costs you eventually, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's proving a difficult pitch to bat on or what it quite is, but I mean, the Blaze bowlers have been very clinical. They've been very, very good so far. We've got Gordon continuing, and that's been nudged by Lamb down to deep third. We won't get all the way to the boundary. The boundary is quite far out here at Emirates Old Trafford. It is a very big pitch compared to when the sides faced each other last in Loughborough, a much smaller pitch at Loughborough University.
Well done in the crowd if you caught a cap, by the way. I saw those caps being chucked out in between overs.
Gordon once again, and Lamb defends that. Back to Gordon.
We're not quite at the T-shirt cannon phase here at Emirates Old Trafford, but I think we're getting there.
Gordon once again, and that's been hit up in the air by Lamb, and it looks like it's caught, goes down the throat of the fielder. Marie Kelly with the catch. As a wicket for the Blaze. Thunder lose Emma Lamb, who will head back to the dressing room 20 from 23. Her innings slow and steady, with 2 fours included in that.
Yeah, very much out, that one, unfortunately, for Emma Lamb. She's the top scorer of the innings so far, but caught for 20 off the bowling of Kirsty Gordon, and caught well by Marie Kelly in the end.
Yeah, it was, again, the sort of shot that Thunder need to start playing, but it didn't have quite enough on it, and Marie Kelly was able to run in and take the catch very comfortably in the end.
Real challenge for Danny Collins. She's been made a professional here, was working in a garage overnight to allow her to pursue her cricket dream. Well, she's been made one of the pros now. She's walking out to the middle. Her team's in trouble, 27 for 3 against an undefeated side. Groves and Gordon, who both have international honours, albeit Groves's are at under-19 levels. So this is a real chance for the Blaze to get a sort of chokehold on the game, to use that expression. And she does have the captain, Ellie Threlkeld, at the other end, but the left-handed Collins here has a real role to play for Lancashire Thunder. This could be a very sort of pivotal innings in her career, if you like, if she can get a score here today.
Yeah, I think it's pressure, but it's definitely opportunity, and I think she needs to see the opportunity side of that and put a good total on the board as she just plays that into the offside.
It's good to see that, isn't it? Good start out to the cover boundary to Hyam, 1 to the total.
Yeah, as I mentioned, it is a big opportunity for her, and I think if she can put in a big shift, we mentioned about Grace Ballinger's 5 for a couple of years ago, and that is a turning point for a lot of people when they have that big game. So for Danny Collins, that has the potential to be that today, as Threlkeld chips that to deep point. He'll get the single, but that's all on offer.
29 for 3 now. That needs to go northwards, so to speak. Needs to go up.
Left-handed Danny Collins, who plays that into the leg side. Attempts the run, but heads back to her crease. And at the end of the over, 29 for 3.
Yeah, as I say, it's slow and steady, and it's a little bit too much on the steady side at the moment, really, for Lancashire Thunder. But it is that wickets column. I mean, it's the best way to slow the run rate in T20 cricket, isn't it, Polly? I mean, it always just keeps a handle on that run rate if you can take wickets, and the Blaze have 3 of them. Yeah,
the Blaze both have wicket-taking bowlers and also very economical bowlers, and that's really playing into their advantage at the moment. As Groves continues, And that's chipped down the ground to Marie Kelly, who does the fielding.
But that's exactly the ball they've been missing out on, isn't it? Dot ball there, down the ground, made it a full toss, did well there, but should have put it away for 4 or 6.
Really in search of those boundaries. As Groves, once again, she dives, tries to do the fielding herself, but slight misfield. Won't be a run available.
And I wonder what the decision in Ellie Threlkeld's head was there, because that looked a very similar ball to the one she came down the track to, but she stayed in her crease that time. Result was the same. Again, no run.
Groves preparing her slight run up. She goes in with her leg spin, and that's been clipped into the offside. They'll run a very quick single, but Danny Collins is safely back. The score moving to 30 for 3. Yeah, it's not a great performance from Thunder so far with the bat. 8.3 overs and they've only got 30 runs and they're 3 wickets down. It's really not what I imagine they envisioned coming into this game.
It's not, but it is the 4th time this pitch has been used for a game of T20 cricket. So maybe if they can get 120, 130 with their bowling attack, they'll have a chance.
Groves once again. And that's played behind Sarah Bryce, the wicket-keeper. It's racing away to the boundary. I think Collins just got a slight edge on it.
Yeah, no, one-day game. There might have been a slip there in the 50-over format to gobble that one up, but there wasn't. So she'll take the runs. But I think they've almost got to be looking to go at 10s from here already. And with the wickets column not in a great place, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I think it's quite optimistic to think they could do that. 3.7 and over at the moment, as Groves once again has just been clipped into the leg side by Danny Collins. Yeah, it is difficult to see where they go from here. Of course, they'll want to get that total as high as possible, but I think pushing 100 at the moment would be realistic for them, because 33 for 3 after 8.5 overs is not looking great for the Lancashire Thunder. Groves once again, and that's been a straight bat hit down the ground. They'll get the single, and Marie Kelly does the fielding, taking us to the end of the over, 34 for 3.
Surprised that's not a no ball, to be honest. That looked well above waist high, and the rule has been changed so that it is now waist high for both slow bowlers and quick bowlers, to sort of almost clear up the ambiguity between who's a slow bowler and who's a quick bowler. I'm surprised that wasn't, and I'm actually surprised that Threlkeld didn't try and clap it into the stands, really, and could have ended up being caught there off a ball that wasn't signalled no ball. I mean, you've got Listers attacking, you've got Eccleston coming in for Heap, who's attacking. Norris obviously is very attacking. Kate Cross can play a shot or two down the order, but even Phoebe Graham has been this season. But I mean, how many overs would you want those sort of 4 hitters to be batting? 8 maybe?
Yeah, this is the thing. They're good players that can, have a bit of a cameo performance, but you don't want them batting the majority of the innings. As Lucy Hyam is going to bowl hit, and Ellie Threlkeld has hoiked that into the leg side. That races away to mid-wicket. They'll push for 2, and they'll get those 2. Sarah Bryce whips the bails off, but it is too late, and Threlkeld is back in her crease.
Applause for that one. Very good running. That was good to see. These two are quick between the wickets, and they proved it there and put the pressure on the fielder. The throw wasn't accurate. They went for the striker's end as well, but Threlkeld was well home.
Hyam once again, and that similar shot, slightly lower on the ground, heads to mid-wicket, deep mid-wicket even.
And the Blaze look a completely different outfit as 2 more are added there. Let's take it to 38 for 3. I mean, they look a completely different outfit to what they did in the early stages of the Rachel Hayer Flint Trophy. They've obviously got the Bryce sisters back, still waiting for Georgie Boyce back, formerly of Lancashire Thunder. But, having Hyam come on here.
As Hyam plays that to Threlkeld, who hits it down the ground. Another dot ball, which Thunder can't really afford at this point in the game.
Given she's come down the track there, should they almost be running that?
I mean, you would think so, because they haven't got much to lose. As once again, Threlkeld plays that back over the bowler. Marie Kelly is very busy out there, down at kind of a long on. She has been moved over though, so long off, and she's moving back again.
It's a little bit of confusion with the right and left-hander there for the bowler who's trying to reorganise her field, Lucy Hyam, but she does so successfully. But I mean, these are the little things that can cost you a little bit in terms of time and getting within that cut-off point, but hopefully with the 3 spinners they shouldn't have too much problem. But having Hyam to back up Groves and Gordon is a very nice position to be in.
Hyam to Collins, he plays that back over the bowler. There was a diving attempt, it raced away to the boundary, another diving stop, and that's for the Thunder, a very much needed boundary.
And look at what it does to the crowd. I mean, all of a sudden the flags are waving, the signs are waving, there's a little bit of a roar as that one sort of almost, they were cheering that one towards the boundary, weren't they? You know, if you can hit a couple of boundaries here, this crowd are going to get into it.
As Hyam plays it and Collins takes a single. Yeah, the men had a good game earlier, and I imagine a lot of these Lancashire fans here will want to see the women do exactly the same. It's not quite working out at the moment after 10 overs, 44 for 3.
Yeah, so they've added, what, 24 in the 5 overs there. That you've been talking to listeners, Polly Starkey, on Lancs TV, BBC Radio Manchester, BBC Radio Lancashire, and on the BBC Sport website and app. And certainly plenty of fans enjoying this game, but they'll enjoy it a lot more if Lancashire Thunder can get up past certainly 100, 120, I think would be the minimum they're after here. So they'd need to be going at sort of 7s and 8s. They're going at 4.5 at the moment. But as I say, the likes of Lister, Eccleston, Kate Cross, Phoebe Graham, they'll be hoping, and of course Tara Norris as well, who we know can hit a big 6. They'll be hoping they're going to get them there, as Claridge is there in with the fielding at mid-wicket. 44 for 3 with Mike Perkins and Polly Starkey, as in the sunshine from the Statham end bowls Kirsty Gordon. There's a rap of the pad of Collins, who's quickly through for a leg by, and that'll be added to the total to take it to 45 for 3. But it's more than 1s and 2s here that's needed for Lancashire Thunder, and these two really have to make a decision now about how they're going to find the rope. Threlkeld 10 off 14, Collins 10 off 8. She's going at more than 1 a ball, so she's doing her job at the moment. But the captain has to find a boundary, and it's the other captain, Kirsty Gordon, bowling to Ellie Threlkeld, who stabs it into the leg side. She'd advanced forward and had to stop, and that's exactly what Collins has to do, was coming back for the second, but Threlkeld realised she wasn't going to get there. So just the 1 more to the total, 46 for 3. Collins, again, she probably needs to find the boundary, even though she's 10 off 8.
Yeah, I'm intrigued also to see how the Blaze start with the batting, whether it is the pitch or you know, whether it is the players.
And whether it's the quality of the spin bowling, again from Gordon there, just pushed up to mid-wicket, so another dot ball. There's been a lot of them, though, in this innings so far, as Gordon, with the breeze ruffling her orange Blaze kit, bowls another ball into the feet of Collins and gets another dot ball to the wicketkeeper Sarah Bryce. As Gordon just up onto her tiptoes to deliver once more, and just pushed down the onside of straight. That's a dot ball to bring the 11th over to an end. We'll bring Scott Reed in for myself to take you through to the 15 over mark, and then Polly Starkey can complete the innings. But yeah, 46 for 3 the score.
46 for 3 here at Emirates Old Trafford between Lancashire Thunder and the Blaze. Lancashire Thunder not off to the start they would have wanted. The Blaze, their spin attack, executing those balls. We've had good spin from Kirsty Gordon, Josie Groves and Lucy Hyam, but also Grace Ballinger and Catherine Bryce with the seam bowling. It looks like Marie Kelly is going to come on to bowl. Whether she bowls left arm or right arm will be a bit of a mystery. The ambidextrous bowler who in lockdown learnt to bowl left arm as well as right arm, just to kind of add more to her game, which I think is great initiative from a player to think to. I mean, I know lockdown sent everyone a bit crazy, but it was very, very good from her. As Kelly here plays that to Threlkeld, who hits that down the ground to mid-on. There's a misfield, but Thunder won't capitalise. It was not too severe of an overthrow.
It's good running too as well. Coming back for 2. A big part of the innings here, isn't it, running? You've got to try and turn the 1s into 2s.
Kelly to Threlkeld. Threlkeld plays that back to... There's an attempt at a run out. It hits Threlkeld, so it was not quite near the stumps. Threlkeld looks in a bit of pain. I don't know if it hit her hand. It looks like a sore one. There was a lot of power in that throw. It just directly hit her.
That's quite concerning, this, isn't it? She's removed her glove. Let's look back on the replay here. Throw comes in on the bounce.
Oh, it's her forearm. That's sore.
Yeah.
That is very, very painful.
Well, I think she's going to need a bit of medical help here a little bit, and she's to make sure everything's okay. It's at the very least a nasty-looking bruise. Let's hope it's nothing more than that.
Yeah, that's I imagine will bruise quite quickly. Not ideal for the captain when the team are not in a great position as well. Hopefully she'll be able to continue here, but it looks like it's a sore one.
Yeah, it isn't it? And as you say, it's on that right forearm by the looks of it. Shit. For the wicket keeper. He's a concern, but hopefully she'll be okay. It's been a sticky start, this, hasn't it, really, for Thunder?
Yeah, it's perhaps not been the display they would have wanted to put on for the crowd here. But saying that, if it is just a pitch which is hard to play on, the Blaze will have the same struggles, and Thunder have a really good bowling attack. They've got Kate Cross and Sophie Eccleston back in the mix, so surely this will just be a low-scoring thriller. Yeah,
I think there's a very good chance that's going to happen. We saw in the first match it was actually quite difficult to time the ball on this pitch. It was pretty hard work at times, and they had to really fight hard, Lancashire, to get to a score of 170. So yeah, I think it's not the easiest pitch to score on. It's not the easiest pitch to try and hit cleanly and hit through the ball. That's where your running is important, and the Thunder know this ground well. They know that trying to force extra runs, 1s to 2s, 2s to 3s, absolutely massive. Really important, that.
It's going to be Marie Kelly in again, and as played by Danny Collins, out to the fielder Catherine Bryce, who of course we've mentioned earlier on has had a fantastic couple of weeks and months, really in form for both the Blaze and Scotland, qualifying for her first ever World Cup, and then has come back to Blaze and has just kind of been that missing piece. She's been brilliant for the side. Kelly, and again with some off spin, and it goes over the fielder's head, will race away to the boundary. Ellie Threlkeld coming back after her little knock earlier, a couple of balls previous, and she gets a boundary which is much needed by the Lancashire Thunder. They've been thirsty for runs, and she sent that all the way to the boundary for 4. 54 for 3, the score after 11.4 overs.
It's a good shot. Good use of the feet, really aggressive, but completely controlled, powerfully hit.
Kelly to Threlkeld. Threlkeld gets more power on that. It heads towards Lucy Hyam in the field. There's an attempt for a catch. She drops it. It was a very good piece of fielding nonetheless. You want your players to go for those ones. You go and take the catch. There's a risk it could head to the boundary, but in this case, Hyam did enough to stop it.
Took an awkward bite, dropped, didn't it, quite low on her. And I think you're right. I think it's one of those where if you sit back, the ball could spin either way for a boundary.
Once again, Kelly into Collins. There's just one run on offer. But yeah, it's one of those where you kind of have to risk putting your face right by where the ball is flying into. And obviously that is quite dangerous. But Hyam did a good job of preventing the boundary. Looks like Josie Groves will come back onto bowl.
Well, they've got a base here, haven't they? They've got a bit of a partnership which has started. 29 they've put on so far, these two. So that is something in which they can try and build on.
Josie Groves, who has conceded 8 runs from her 2 overs. Yet to take a wicket, but took the early catch to dismiss Fee Morris. Groves with her leg spin into Collins. That's played back to the bowler for no run. Score remaining 56-4-3.
Spin's going to be a big part, isn't it? You've not perhaps got the express pace that we saw in the earlier game here, but the spinners in both sides are going to have a big role to play.
Groves again, and that's played by Danny Collins into the offside. They'll take the single. Yeah, these are two of the teams in the tournament that have, I would say, the best spin attack. There's just a lot of versatility within it, and when you have Sophie Eccleston back for Thunder, for example, it just kind of adds something else to the side. But even without her, they've got so many options. You know, Sophie Morris, Hannah Jones. It's a wealth of players who can bowl offies for them. Fee Morris as well, of course, the all-rounder. Groves into again. She tries to take the catch back. They'll run through for the single as there was a misfield. It was a good reaction from Groves, but doesn't manage to take the catch. It's properly fired back at her.
Yeah, just what you want, that, isn't it, when you follow through. It was hammered back towards her.
Groves looks to continue here to the left-handed Collins, and that's played down the ground. Fielder in pursuit, but it heads all the way to the boundary. Another 4 for the Thunder. As we say, they've been desperate for them. They haven't found many boundaries so far this innings, but that takes the score to 62-3. They're creeping closer to that 100 mark, which I'm sure will very much be in their targets, potentially boosting to 120, 130 for a defendable total.
It's a lovely shot again. Beautifully picked the gap between mid-off and cover.
Just the second boundary for Collins. Groves again swept behind. They will head towards the boundary. There's a fielder in pursuit, but it's safely secured by Marie Kelly. In fact, not Marie Kelly. Teresa Graves. Kirsty Gordon just having a chat to Josie Groves. Groves in again, and that's just dabbled out, and they'll get the single, moving the total to 65-3 at the end of the over. That was a better over, I think, from Thunder. It just seemed like they looked a little bit more comfortable at the crease and just ticking it over a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a good over, that 9 coming off it. The boundary was a lovely piece of batting, wasn't it? Just steering it between mid-off and cover, and then in and around that they've managed to get a couple of singles, and they've run 2. Yeah, 9 coming off the over. It's a good one, that, for Thunder. They've got a really good base now, these two. They've got a good partnership. They're both in. Important that they try and just keep pushing on. No need to take too many risks. I think a lowish score could be on the cards. It could be a bit of a low-scoring thriller. We mentioned it took some effort to get to 170 in the first match. It's a slow pitch. It's difficult to time your shots. A low score could be defendable here.
Lucy Hyam will bowl from James Anderson end. She takes that back, drops it, but there'll be no run. I just noticed Josie Groves' mum, Anita, pop up on the screen. Okay. If you don't know much about Josie Groves' mum, get to know, because she has enthusiasm for days.
Love that.
She's made Blaze hats, those massive hand things, everything. She does a great 2-step. She did it all through the Under-19 World Cup, and it's fantastic to see. As Hyam once again Collins chips that, heads towards the boundary, it races away, and that'll be another boundary for the Thunder. Moving to 69-4-3. Feels like they've got a little bit more energy here. They're finding the boundaries, and they're creeping that total up to try and put on a defendable total, as they'll have to do in not too long.
It's a lovely shot. It's a really calculated shot, that. There's an element of risk about it because she's chipping it over the fielders at mid-wicket, but it's a really nice shot. Again, good use of the feet, steering it up and over mid-wicket.
Hyam into Collins, and a safety taken by Sarah Bryce behind the stumps. You see Hyam, just another spinner in Blaze's bowling attack, as Collins gets hold of that, takes that down to Catherine Bryce, who does the fielding. The score 70-3. Feels like they've slightly rectified some of those first couple of overs in that power play where they just struggled to get runs and there were lots of dot balls. It feels like it's flowing a little bit more, and the run rate has moved up to 5.1 an over. It was stuck around 3.7. Threlkeld chips that up, but it's gone. It's out. The catch is easily taken by captain Kirsty Gordon. Lucy Hyam with the wicket. It was a bit of a, dare I say, silly shot. She had more power. It could have gone over the fielder, but it just chipped straight to mid-off. Ellie Threlkeld, the captain, heads back. Lancashire Thunder 70-4. So round of applause around the ground for the captain, Ellie Threlkeld, who put in a decent shift, 20 from 20, including a boundary. And it brings Elsa Lister to the crease, a Scottish international who has joined the Thunder, signed a professional contract just ahead of the season. Has also signed for Birmingham Phoenix in the 100, where there's a whole host of wicket keepers down there. Elsa Lister, of course, can be behind the stumps. In this case, she's in as a batter, but 38 Scotland caps and 550 runs, so plenty of experience despite still being 20. I believe she's also from the same area that Kirsty Gordon is in Scotland, Huntly, where it seems to be a bit of a kind of a hub for women's cricket up there. It's slightly unassuming, but they've produced quite a few players, two of them who are on the pitch today. Elsa Lister getting ready to face Lucy Hyam for her first ball. That's just played to mid-off, the fielding done with inside the ring. Score 71-4 at the end of the over.
Yeah, if we could see a replay of that wicket that's just fallen or not, but she just threw the ball out a little wider, and it had Ellie Threlkeld reaching for it. She just a little step to the leg side, Threlkeld, and just pushed by Hyam a little wider outside off stump, and she's reaching for it. Didn't quite get a hold of it. It's tough enough to try and hit through the ball, I think, on this surface. It's quite a slow pitch. In the end, just chipped it to mid-off, but I think Lucy Hyam there with a good piece of bowling, just to float it a little bit wider outside off stump, and that's been the undoing for Ellie Threlkeld. It's a shame it ends what was a good partnership. It was a much-needed one for Thunder.
It's going to be Catherine Bryce to come back into the bowling attack to Scottish teammate Lister, who plays that into the offside. No run.
There's a bit of experience out there, isn't there? Certainly with the ball there is, no?
Yeah, Catherine Bryce has bowled really, really well so far. She's only conceded 3 runs from her 2 overs and has also taken a wicket as she continues hit straight to the fielder. They'll run through for a single. It's a quick single, and it could have been a run out, but shy of the stumps and overthrown.
Yeah, and they've had to try and steal a single there. That's a risky single. I think a direct hit, she's probably short, but it's because of the nature of the pressure that's being built, and certainly with Bryce now, you're not going to get many scoring shots. Bowling pretty straight, wicket to wicket.
Bryce charging in again, and that's hit onto the ground by the wicket-keeper, and no shot really comes of it.
She's perfect for this pitch. You don't really need to do a great deal here in terms of just slowing the runs down.
She has a lot of control with her bowling as Bryce continues. It's played back to just another dot ball. It just seems she's unplayable. She's got, as I mentioned, so much control over the ball, and she's got a consistent line and length, and that's just proving really, really difficult for Lancashire Thunder and Danny Collins and Elsa Lister to bat against. As Collins, the left-hander, and she gets something on that, and they'll run through for the single. Just whip that to the fielder.
It's fine, isn't it? Just try and keep it ticking over. If your boundary options are limited, because Bryce, as you say, is bowling very nicely, accurate stuff, just try and nudge it around and take your ones and twos.
Bryce to Lister, and Lister gets hold of that, takes it down to mid-wicket. Nothing more than that. He'll take the single. 74 for 4, 15 overs.
You're expecting probably Sophie Eccleston to come in next, aren't we? I would think. You're probably wanting Sophie to come in with about 2 or 3 left, really. Give her a bit of freedom to try and play her shots. These two just need to keep together. Give the likes of Eccleston and Cross, Norris can all hit it. Chance to try and have a bit of fun at the back end of the innings.
Having some hats thrown out into the crowd, just in front of the hotel. I have to say, quite a decent crowd in for this game as part of the double header, as Hyam is going to continue from the James Anderson end, and Elsa Lister chips that back over the head of the bowler. They'll take 1 run from it. And yeah, runs is all they need. I think they take the single over the dot ball. There has been some slightly dangerous running, but I think at this point, with 4.5 overs left, they can afford to do that. They've still got quite a few wickets in hand, and they need the runs on the board.
Yep. Yeah, they've got to keep ticking it over.
Hyam in again.
Oh, nice.
And a tidy bit of wicket keeping from Sarah Bryce.
Turned a bit.
Really good delivery by Hyam. Lucy Hyam again, and Collins gets hold of that and kind of turns it behind her, and Grace Ballinger will field that. They'll scramble through 4-2.
You could almost predict the reverse sweep coming out, couldn't you, really? The previous ball did grip and turn. Went for the reverse. It's not a bad option, that, with short fine and short third inside the circle.
Hyam again, and Collins over the head of the bowler, heads down, and Tammy Beaumont, the England international, brings that back to the bowler. Tammy Beaumont, who I'm excited to see out in the middle. She hasn't had runs recently, so I think she'll be looking to get a big score, although this pitch, as you say, is proving quite difficult to bat on, as Hyam to Lister over the head all the way. It's going to be taken, though. The catch is taken very safely by Marie Kelly, who got hold of that. It was a good shot, needed more power to get it over the boundary to get that 6. But Thunder, another wicket down. Elsa Lister not too long out in the middle. She departs. Thunder 78 for 5. It does mean that we'll see Sophie Eccleston walk out to the crease. Sophie Eccleston, who she was batting number 11 actually for Alvanley yesterday. I thought, well, she could be promoted at the order, surely. But maybe they were saving for her having a big moment today, as her team are having a little bit of difficulty out in the middle. 4.1 overs left and 78 for 5. She's got a big job on her hands, but she's a player who can, although she's predominantly a bowler, she can hit 6s and she can find the boundary.
You mentioned Tammy Bowman, and the Bowman factor actually in the opposition is quite interesting because, look, if this pitch is continues to play as it has done so far today, where it is quite difficult, your skill as a batter to manipulate the field, to work the ball into spaces, and to build an innings, someone with her experience and her ability to manage this run chase is quite a dangerous prospect, really, for Thunder. At the minute, looks like being a relatively modest total to chase, and got one of the best in Tammy Bowman trying to lead the way.
Hyam to Eccleston to face her first ball, and she just plays that to cover. There won't be a run available.
It's a great over, that.
End of the over, 78-45.
Yeah, it's a really good over. I mean, there'll be an element of doubt from the batter because she got one to turn, and you only need to really potentially get one to grip and turn, and you're thinking, oh, blimey, there's something in this surface. You then get the reverse sweep out. You're then perhaps trying to play shots that you wouldn't normally play because of that first delivery that grips and turns. That's a good over, that. They've come back well here because we mentioned a couple of overs ago, Thunder, I think they got 9 from the over, which is probably one of their better so far. They've dragged that back, the following 2. Taken wickets, have picked up 2, and they've reduced and narrowed the run scoring down, so they've fought back well the last couple of overs of plays here. It's been really good bowling and good fielding. They've taken their chances too.
Yeah, we could see the run rate pop up on the screen just before, and yeah, you could see Thunder starting very slowly and then getting a bit of momentum and it slightly plateauing and dipping down. So I want to bring that run rate back up again, as Grace Ballinger is going to be there to bowling. That's a full toss, been chipped up in the air. Sarah Bryce was in pursuit to try and take that catch, but it fell short. The umpire signals a no ball. Sophie Eccleston, I think she knew it was a no ball because it was a slightly reckless shot, although it did fall short. There were plenty of fielders around.
Grace Ballinger's not massively happy with that. I'm not so certain that she necessarily agrees. It's a free hit, and I think there's a slightly grumpy fast bowler at the top of her mark waiting to come back in and bowl it again. There's a lot of shaking of the head going on there.
Seems to be a lot of deliberation as to the field. I didn't think they were allowed to change the field on a free hit.
They didn't. Yeah, they did. They ran because they ran. They can change it.
As Ballinger for the free hit. Eccleston doesn't quite get hold of it as she probably would have wanted to, and just play down to Tammy Beaumont.
Yeah, not too much damage done in the end. It's actually a decent ball, wasn't it, by Grace Ballinger? A free hit. There's all sorts of risk potentially involved in it. Sent down a good delivery there. It's a good comeback.
The score 81-5. As Ballinger is going to continue, hoping to not bowl any more no balls. As the left armour comes in, and that's swatted out by Collins. They'll take the single. Catherine Bryce doing the fielding. And with 3.4 overs left, you would expect them to be wanting to be slightly more aggressive. And Sophie Eccleston, you imagine, is your player to do that. Ballinger, once again. That's hit down the ground. Marie Kelly safely fielding that. Grace Ballinger recovering after her no ball. She's started to bowl slightly more consistently.
Yeah, she's worn too because of the height with the ball, so she's got the official warning. If she bowls that one again, she's going to be out of the attack. She has come back well, though.
Ballinger to Collins. He plays that over the head of Eccleston, down to Marie Kelly again. Marie Kelly being kept busy. Lancashire Thunder 84 for 5 after 16.4 overs.
Where's Sophie looking here? Looking out towards that leg side boundary. Not surprising that Blaze have got 3 fielders on the leg side boundary.
Ballinger to Eccleston. And she just plays that back to the bowler. The bails are removed, but I think Collins is safe because Ballinger did not get hold of the ball as it went through. So it's always a risky one, though.
Yes, it is. And a fingertip on that from Grace Ballinger, and
Yeah.
that's the end of Collins at the other end. She's miles out of a crease because she's backing up. She's eager to try and get that extra run if it's there. But I don't think it was far away from.
No,
Grace Ballinger.
It looked very close, and that, as a bowler, you've got to have those quick reactions. Ballinger continues to Eccleston, who tries to hit that out. It remains within the circle, just gets to point. And the end of the over, 84-4-5. 3 overs remain.
Yep, 3 left for Thunder. Sophie Eccleston in conversation in the middle there. Where can they try and push this to? Try and get this up to 3 figures is kind of a minimum, really, is what they're looking for here.
Yeah, we perhaps suggested 120, 130 would be a defendable total, but it's looking like they'll be around the 100 mark, maybe push to 110. But with 3 overs remaining and some tight bowling by the Blaze, it will be a difficult job. Danny Collins on strike to face Lucy Hyam. She tries to reverse sweep that, and she's stumped. Sarah Bryce dismisses yet another Thunder batter behind the stumps. Danny Collins has put in a decent shift, 30 from 31, including 3 fours, in fact. Put in the performance that, you know, there was a lot of pressure on her going into this innings because Thunder were really struggling. They needed someone to step up, and she's done that kind of ball-by-ball job of just ticking those overs over. It does bring Kate Cross out, Kate Cross and Sophie Eccleston, the England duo. I guess it's an opportunity to play quite freely and just try and get the total up.
Yeah, definitely. Sophie comes to meet her halfway down to have a chat. It's good effort by the keeper. That is it was a bit of a grab, wasn't it? The ball was ricocheting around, and done well to get a glove on that and to pick it up and to whip the bails off before Collins can get back in. But yeah, there's 2 experienced players here now, and they can both hit it, can't we? Know about Sophie, and Kate's a fine striker at the ball, so there's still potentially plenty of runs out there for Thunder.
Hyam to Cross to face her first ball, and she whips that down the ground. It heads towards the boundary at mid-on, but nothing will come of it. We'll just run between the wickets for a single.
She's been quite difficult to get away, Lucy Hyam. It might be worth just trying to nudge it around for 1s and 2s and take your risk a little bit later on.
Hyam again, there's plenty of flight in that one, and that's down the ground, a single taken. Yeah, it's difficult when there's not much pace on Lucy Hyam's bowling, that it's just difficult to kind of get anything from it, but that's where you have to be fast between the wickets. Hyam again from the James Anderson end. Cross gets slightly more on that, but again it's just played down to slightly wide mid-off. Score 87 for 6. Hyam to Eccleston. Eccleston hoiks that down to deep backward square leg. And we'll just get the 1. I imagine the message from the dressing room and from Ellie would be to define those boundaries, to take those risks, but it feels like they're not quite taking those risks. As Hyam to Cross plays that over the top of the fielder, heads towards the boundary. Nadine de Klerk does the fielding to prevent that, but they'll run through for 2. 94-6 at the end of the over, 2 overs remaining. It's looking likely that they'll reach that 100 mark.
That's a good shot by Kate Cross. just using the feet and chipping it over mid-wicket. Come back for 2. Excellent from Lucy Hyam. It's a really good 4 overs that today. 3 for 24. Got real good control for the Blaze. Picked up 3 wickets in the process, so a really good day with the ball for Lucy Hyam. She's bowled very nicely. Should suit the spinners here. Tends to do.
Really nice to see Lucy Hyam actually back in and playing, because she had a bit of a limp on the first game at Edgbaston. We were focusing on the Blaze, missing 3 of their top 4 on that occasion. As Catherine Bryce comes in to bowl from the Brian Statham end and starts with a dot ball, which has been rather in keeping with what she's been doing throughout this innings, and the score remains on 90 for 6. But it's been very much you know, we were focused on the fact that the Bryce sisters were missing, and Georgie Boyce, who used to play for Lancashire Thunder, was missing, which was 3 of the top 4 that had taken them to finals day in the Rachel Hayward Flint Trophy and finals day in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. That's a helpful boundary. Lifted up over the leg side. It gets the music going again. It gets a little mid-pitch chat between the 2 batters. Eccleston's been looking for that since she came out, and she's finally found the boundary. Moves her score on to 8, but it's valuable for Thunder because it takes them up towards the 3 figures, 94 for 6. And I was looking at it, I mean, they sort of, to get to 114, they'd have needed 30 off the last 3. And I felt that maybe needed to be the target for them, particularly with Norris, who's one of the cleanest strikers of the ball at this level. That one's going to go all the way towards the boundary. It's just about gathered between Kelly and a rather prone now Tammy Beaumont, who's clutching her knee. Now, this is concerning from an England point of view, that Tammy Beaumont's clutching her knee. She's back to her feet, luckily. They're stabbing down the offending bit of turf, but she just sort of got stuck for a moment there, and it's good to see. There's applause, actually, from the Lancashire Thunder fans for Tammy Beaumont getting back to her feet, because they know how important she is for England's hopes this summer in international cricket. So she's okay. There were runs added to the total. 96 for 6 is the score after all that, as in comes Catherine Bryce again. And this one's hit high, and this one will clear the rope, and the fans are on their feet because it's in the stands from Sophie Eccleston. And she looks relaxed at the crease, and what a way that is for Lancashire Thunder to bring up their 100. 102 for 6, a 6 from Sophie Eccleston, and all of a sudden the Scottish international Catherine Bryce is under pressure, and Sophie Eccleston is looking relaxed at the crease and striking it cleanly. And she may have just sat back at Alvanley yesterday playing her club cricket at number 11, but she's enjoying batting today because she's got a big old smile on her face.
Yes, good shot. Well, this is what you want. This is where you want Sophie Eccleston to have an impact, don't you? Right at the back of the innings. This is what she can do. So she can clear the ropes.
As I say, they've still got one of the cleanest strikers of the ball, and Tara Norris back in the hutch as well, so they can really go for it here, can Cross and Eccleston. They could have even contemplated 2 there, but Lucy Hyam is back in and returns the ball for the loss of only 1 run, 103 for 6. But no, it's good to see Lucy Hyam back in, because she pointed out to, I said, oh, you're clearly out as well with that little limp, and she's like, oh yeah, that'll only be a couple of weeks. And she said, we're also missing Josie Groves, who's been playing today, and they just look a completely different side with the 2 Bryce sisters and the 2 spinners, Hyam and Groves, in. They look really, really good. As this one's chopped away on the cut, this is going to be 4, third boundary of the over. It's Kate Cross this time who's found the rope, justifying the fact she's come in before Norris there with a boundary herself. 107 for 6. The 120 might even still be on with a big over to finish with. You'll hear it with Scott Reed.
That's a good over, that. That's much needed, that. That is a great shot. You've seen some power from Sophie Eccleston. She's targeted the leg side boundary and hit a big 6. Got a 4 from that, but that is a really nice shot. It's placed away beautifully by Kate Cross.
And they're more known for their bowling, but they're having a good little chat in the middle there, are those 2, Eccleston and Kate Cross.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of experience there, and there's a lot of calm heads there. There's a lot of kind of been there and done it a little bit as well. Eccleston's on strike for the final over, so that's an important factor from Thunder's point of view. Good little cameo at the back end of the innings. Just needed maybe just a little injection of energy. I mean, it's been mentioned a couple of times. It's been tough going. It's not. I don't think it's the easiest pitch to bat on.
No, it's almost as if Blaze have gone. There's all this talk about the Thunder lineup and their strong bowling attack. We're going to show what a strong bowling lineup we've got.
Right, Eccleston's on strike. That's coming down the ground. That's hit firmly. Oh, it's a good piece of work on the boundary rope. Eccleston will come back and run 2. She's probably thinking she's got 4 there. Good fielding in the deep. 2 more for Sophie Eccleston. Score moves on to 109 for 6.
Nice little bit of applause from Eccleston to her partner Cross for getting back for the 2 as well.
Here comes Gordon in and bowls. That's driven down to long on. Eccleston moves on to 20. 110 for 6. Might not feel a lot, and probably in T20 cricket it shouldn't really be enough, but it's not been straightforward today. There batting here. And there's some skill in that bowling attack from the Thunder. Swing and a miss from Cross, and she's stumped. And Cross departs for 8, but sacrificing a wicket there. Looking to try and keep things ticking on. Thunder lose their 7th. 110 for 7. And Cross has been stumped. Some nifty work again with the gloves.
Yeah, well, we gave Fee Morris the big build-up at the start and she didn't get many. I've given Tara Norris the big build-up here, so let's hope she hits a couple of 6s to finish the innings with a bit of spark for Lancashire Thunder here, because she can hit a very clean ball, although it's never easy when you're only coming in for 3 deliveries at the end of the innings.
No, you've got to either make it count, find a boundary, or get off strike and get Sophie Eccleston on strike for the final 2 deliveries. Got to try and find at least a boundary here.
Yeah, she may as well basically go for this, and then if she doesn't get all of it, she'll at least get 1. I suppose getting caught would be the only risk, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's almost a free hit, isn't it, really?
She looks relaxed enough anyway. A few stretches, whack a couple over the rope, and then get the ball in your hand.
Today's, yeah. 110 for 7. Third wicket for Gordon, 3 for 11. In and balls. That's quite where Norris was aiming for. Just be a single. Dancing down the pitch and trying to work it to the leg side. Just squirts out towards deep backward square leg. But I guess it's job done. You want Sophie Eccleston facing. She's in. She's faced 14 deliveries for a 20. Can she try and find a boundary? You feel a boundary from one of these 2 final deliveries. Thunder will be reasonably content. Oh, she's been bowled. She's going to cross the stumps, looking to try and sweep the ball. And that ball snaked past her bat and it clatters into the woodwork. And it's a 4th wicket. Gordon 4 for 12. Eccleston's gone for 20. 111 for 8.
She hit a 4 and a 6, and really Lancashire Thunder needed her to hit one of either there, and she tried, to be fair. She went right across the stumps and looked to heave it behind square on the leg side, but she just didn't get any of it. A little rueful. Ooh, I was close to that, but not close enough. So it's going to be over to Phoebe Graham to try and give it a whack instead.
Well, she hit the winning runs here on Thursday. Phoebe Graham came out and hit 2 boundaries, actually, with the 2 balls she faced. So happy memories of that on Thursday.
I remember the Lancashire Thunder Twitter feed, at Thunder Crick, getting very excited about Phoebe Graham entering her big hitter lower order phase. So let's see what she's got for this last ball.
And she's stumped first ball, I think. Yeah, she is. She's gone for a big swing and a miss. And it's a fifer for Kirsty Gordon. She's bowled beautifully today. And Sarah Bryce, who's worked behind the stumps with the gloves, has been absolutely outstanding all afternoon. Completes the task. 5 wickets for Kirsty Gordon here at Emirates Old Trafford. Sarah Bryce with some great work with the gloves. That is it. That's the end of the 20 overs. Lancashire Thunder finish on 111. Target will be 112 to win, but as the Blaze players head back towards their dressing rooms, Kirsty Gordon, I'm sure, will have the honour of leading them off, because that's a fine effort. A fifer here at Old Trafford. 5 for 12 she's got from 4 overs. 111 for 9. It's 112 to win.
Yeah, well, it's been really just... the story of that's Kirsty Gordon, isn't it? 12 for 5, leading wicket taker in the competition. And she's really dominated that innings and put her side in a very good position to win it. But if Cross, Eccleston, the likes of those are able to match that, then Lancashire Thunder will have a chance in this game. But as Polly Starkey was saying, we're looking for a low-scoring thriller here now, Scott, aren't we?
We are, which we may get. It hasn't been the easiest of pitches to score. It's a fine effort, though, by Blaze, who are looking a pretty strong side. They've played 4 and 1-4 coming into today, and
you could see why, couldn't you?
You absolutely can, yeah. Tammy Bowman at the top to try and negotiate this run chase. Could be tricky.
So we will head down to Fraser Dainton at pitch side.
Polly, 111 for 9. Well, I suppose halfway through that innings things were looking very dodgy, but 111 at least gives them something to aim at, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It was not looking good for that power play. It was really, really poor from Lancashire Thunder, and they just really struggled to get runs. There were so many dot balls, and it just looked like, where do they go from here? But actually, Sophie Eccleston did decent at the end to get that 6 and get a couple of runs on the board. Danny Collins put in a bit of a shift, although, you know, she did get out to you know, she shouldn't have really got out to that. But yeah, they kind of rectified some of their issues earlier on. Yeah,
Sophie with that little flurry of runs right at the end there, that's given them a chance. Just how important could that be?
Oh, it's crucial. I think, you know, for a side where a lot of players just didn't step up today with the bat, actually, Sophie Eccleston's performance was really, really good, and we don't know how Blaze are going to bat. This could be a pitch that is just proving really difficult to bat on, or the Blaze could come out and get loads of runs and chase this down really quickly. So it's one of those things where it's like, actually, a performance like that could be, you know, the difference between winning and losing. I
was going to ask you about the pitch, because what did you make of it? Because, I mean, there were players getting themselves out in a lot of cases all over the shop.
Yeah, well, it's a very used pitch, and I think that has definitely played a part. It shows why spin has been so good, actually, as well. Spin really dominated Blaze's innings, but I think, yeah, with the bat, Thunder just really struggled to kind of get it anywhere, really. It was just constantly going to fielders, and I think that proved a challenge long term. And yeah, so hopefully Blaze can you know, try and do something here, but also Thunder with the ball, they've got the spin attack that can match the Blaze. So you know, heading into the second innings, it could be a low-scoring thriller. It could be anyone's game. You got to take your hat off for Kirsty Gordon. 5 wickets for just 12 runs. Absolutely sensational from her today. Yeah, it was a real captain's performance with bat and ball, actually. Even though she isn't a batter, she has stepped up a number of times when, you know, the team haven't necessarily done well. So in terms of the ball today, she was brilliant, and she just looked unplayable. Again, she's a spinner, so I think that it helped with the pitch today. But yeah, it was a really good performance from her. In terms of defending this total now, I mean, we mentioned the fact that obviously Sophie Eccleston is back in the side. It's absolutely set for her to have a real big influence on the way this game goes now. Yeah, this pitch is any spinner's dream at the moment, and for Sophie Eccleston to come here, she'll be really excited to go, I imagine, because she has a big opportunity to win the game for Thunder. But then also you've got other players in that side who can take wickets. We mentioned Fee Morris. She's a fantastic all-rounder. It wasn't her day with the bat, but can she step up with the ball? I imagine she can. Yeah, nice little addition from Danny Collins. Nobody really got themselves in to any great extent, but Danny did very well there. She'll be disappointed the way she got out. Yeah, we were saying upstairs it's a big opportunity for her. It is pressure because she's coming into a situation where the team are really struggling and it's kind of on her to step up. But I thought she did a really good job. She was going out and run a ball, but you know, no one else was doing that. Everyone else was getting out, and she did ultimately get out to kind of a silly dismissal. But at the same time, she did what she kind of needed to do, and I thought her performance was really good today. Blaze have showed why they're top of the table so far, haven't they? They're very, very well organised in the field. Yeah, they are kind of the complete set at the moment. They've got batting, bowling, fielding. We'll see how they bat later on, but yeah, in terms of in the field, there were so many opportunities, I think, for runners. I think they could have been more clinical, actually, but overall the catches, they took those simple catches, and you know, even though that is the basics, they did the basics really well, and I think that's why they did restrict Thunder quite well. In many ways, they've probably shown Lancashire the blueprint for trying to win this game now, haven't they? Thanks very much indeed for the moment, Polly. 111 for 9, Lancashire Thunder with the bat. The run chase is coming up, the run defence rather, for the Thunder is coming up very soon.
Welcome to Corner Dubai. Here's your key.
Thank you.
Let me help you with the bags.
Nice room.
How's that?
This is a call for hungry dreamers and hard-working self-believers. Success is down to more than just luck and talent. It's striving to be the best, breaking the boundaries and never giving up. Are you ready to become your best self? Are you ready to unlock your greatness? So what are you waiting for? This is Education Evolved. This is UA 92.
Two local favourites are staying at the Hilton Garden Inn.
She's gone for the chip. My goodness me. It's over to the Hilton review system. A big bite. Gone.
When lunch is the best part of the day, it matters where you stay. Will these two stay out there after a drink?
And that's a huge sip. Over to the Hilton review system. 3 reds, no doubt at all. And up goes the finger.
When it has to be absolutely plum, it matters where you stay.
"1864. We were first class then, and we're first class now. With a dream to spread cricket through Lancashire's towns, where girls and boys, with willow and leather, become more than a badge, but the red rose together."
A club where more than legends are made, but friendships, obsessions, moments replayed on our screens, in our minds, in our hearts forever. Because it's who we are, our DNA, the red rose together.
Statham, Briggs, Jimmy, Freddie and Joss, Chappie, Sir Clive Lloyd, Carol Hodges, Kate Cross. What a roll call. It's a hard one to measure, with future names still to be written on the red rose together.
We're all about people. It's what the red rose really means. Yeah, the ones signing autographs, but the ones behind the scenes.
Our community, grassroots, the ones that feel tethered. Whether you're from here or belong here, we're the red rose together.
And what about this place? Talk about world-class venues, internationals, gigs, events. You can choose from a menu of triumph, of disaster, of pain, or pleasure.
We've seen it all at Emirates Old Trafford, with the red rose together.
Red ball, white ball, lightning and thunder.
Have you ever sat back? Have you ever just wondered how far we've come? The storms we've weathered, or how far we'll go as the red rose together.
Welcome to Corner Dubai. Here's your key.
Thank you.
Let me help you with the bags.
Nice room.
How's that? How's that?
How's that?
This is a call for hungry dreamers and hard-working self-believers. Success is down to more than just luck and talent. It's striving to be the best, breaking the boundaries and never giving up. Are you ready to become your best self? Are you ready to unlock your greatness? So what are you waiting for? This is Education Evolved. This is UA 92.
Welcome back, everybody. Lancashire Thunder have set the blaze 112 to win this game. In the Charlotte Edwards Cup, we're reaching the halfway point of the competition. The Blaze undefeated so far, so it would be quite an achievement for those in red to affect this win. The target probably not what they wanted, but they've certainly got the bowling attack to give themselves a chance. Tara Norris is going to be taking the new ball. England's Kate Cross in that lineup, as is Sophie Eccleston, the #1 bowler in the world in this format of cricket. So it gives Lancashire Thunder a real opportunity here. They've got Phoebe Graham, Fee Morris as well, and Sophie Morris. So plenty of options there for the captain and wicketkeeper Ellie Threlkeld as Tammy Beaumont takes her guard and marks it very carefully. She has 1,792 T20 international runs, but at the moment that's not good enough to get her in the England side on a regular basis. So she's got a point to prove. Tara Norris, no doubt, will have half an eye on the World Cup over in the USA. She's a USA international, and she's on her way into bowl. Short of length, and it's hit away, and that's going to be 4 to start with from Tammy Beaumont, and she means business. It's already down to 108 to win. 4 runs for Tammy Beaumont to start. Little on the short side from Tara Norris, and Beaumont was just waiting for it, Scott Reed.
No problem timing the ball then, was there? Goodness. Well, I was saying earlier on with Polly that the danger about this, if it is a low-scoring run chase, is that, and one side's found it difficult to bat, but Beaumont is such a good player.
Yeah,
such a good reader of the pitch and able to time her shots and work the ball, manoeuvre the ball around.
Left arm over the wicket from Norris. It creeps down the leg side, and that's a wide. 5 without loss, the total, and we've only had 1 legitimate ball of the innings. Yeah, coming back to that Tammy Beaumont point, I've already mentioned the 1,792 T20I runs, 3,778 runs in one-day international cricket, the 50-over format, and another 524 in test matches, including 208 for Australia, the highest ever score in that format by an English woman. So, in short, she likes runs, and she's facing up now and turning that one into the leg side, and there's going to be 1 down to long leg, and that will be 6 without loss as we embark on this first over. 112 the target, remember.
Yeah, she's such an experienced and skillful batter. She'll quickly be able to pick up the pace of the pitch and adapt and adjust and find ways of scoring, whether it's timing and power as we saw in that first boundary, or that ability just to try and nudge the ball around.
And whether whatever sort of pitch it is, however it's playing, we've got a little bit of a glimpse throughout the day so far. She will have played on a pitch like this, and we'll know how to go about it. Is Graves, who's probably less experienced. It's not hard to be less experienced than 33-year-old Tammy Beaumont, who scampers through for the single and gets Graves underway there. 7 without loss.
Going to need a good power player, isn't it, for Thunder? They're going to need a couple of early wickets. I mean, just to try and, one, give them confidence that they can defend it, and 2, just to slow, I reckon, what is going to be quite an aggressive start here by the Blaze with the bat.
Well, a boundary here, and they will have made half the runs that Lancashire Thunder did in the power play, and they lost 2 wickets in there, as that one is a dot ball. It's played back to Norris, who gathers on the return of her delivery stride. But this is going to be a tough task for Lancashire Thunder. Or I think just that first ball sent the intent from Tammy Beaumont. She's not going to walk off this pitch wondering. The food stands in the distance, still seem to be doing a little bit of a trade as in comes Tara Norris again, and Beaumont helps this one round the corner on the pull. She might have actually felt, even with 2 back, she could have dissected them with that one had she had her time again, but she settles for the single, 8 without loss. We're in the first over of the reply. Lancashire Thunder needing to start with wickets here. It's almost one of those where you throw the ball around a bit, don't you? And kind of, you know, if Norris doesn't take a wicket this over, you think, right, we'll give Eccleston an over for the next one, and then we'll give Graham the next one from this end or something like that. In comes Norris, looking for that first wicket. It's an edge, but it goes down through third and away for 4. And that is 12 without loss. So, as I say, just from the very first over, the Blaze are already within 10 of the runs that Lancashire Thunder managed in the power play, and as good as Kirsty Gordon's 5 wickets were, I think that power play was probably where Lancashire Thunder were struggling in this game.
You need Sophie bowling, you need Kate bowling here, because and there's no point in holding either of them. I mean, Kate's going to open up from the far end, isn't she? But there's no point in holding. You want them to have both bowled the majority of their overs early on, because if you hold them back, the game could be gone by then. You've got to get your wicket takers and your match winners into the game.
I think they almost played the double bluff with the first over of going, they'll be expecting Cross or Eccleston here, let's bowl Norris. But I think given it's gone for 12, they'll be going, that can't go on for too much longer. No. We need, as you say, to get Cross and Eccleston in. You
might need to gamble 3 overs on the spin from Cross here.
Yeah,
something similar from Sophie Eccles. You know, especially if they make an impact. Say, right, you know, there's no point in holding them back for later on because the game could be gone.
I mean, it depends how Beaumont goes about it as well, because Cross has probably got a less good T20 record than Beaumont has. So if Beaumont gets hold of her, that could really cause a problem. She doesn't get hold of this first one, forces off the back foot, and it's well fielded at extra cover, short extra cover really, from Ailsa Lister. No run.
Not a bad idea getting Sophie in when the ball's reasonably new as well. So a little bit earlier on from Chris Green, not just turn, but there's a decent amount of bounce.
There's something there.
Yeah,
something there. In comes Cross again, right arm over from the James Anderson end, all in red. Cross bowls to the orange-shirted Beaumont, and then Graves gets wrapped on the back of the pads, I think, as the return came in from Fee Morris, and her bat was in her ground, but her feet weren't, and Morris let her know, I think. 12 without loss, no runs from the over so far. Big breath from Beaumont. She assesses the field. She won't want to get out to Kate Cross. They will have been in England camp a lot together over the years, and they'll both want to beat each other. And there's a big appeal. There's a big appeal. And the finger goes to the cap at the side of the umpire's pocket, but is not lifted. It's not raised. So 12 without loss, 3 dots, but that one looked close. We're going to see the replay now. Cross delivers, right arm over the wicket, spearing into the pads. And I think that's probably a very good decision. I think it was doing just a little bit too much. I think Cross would have reviewed, though, if we'd had the international replays in play. We'll get Scott Reed's thoughts after this latest one, because Cross is on her way again. She bowls a ball that Beaumont just manages to turn into the leg side and scamper through for 1 to get away from the pressure. 13 without loss. What did you make of that, Scott Reed?
Were you saying just about the right decision?
Just about missing leg stump.
Just about missing leg stump. Yeah, I think it was a fair call, wasn't it? Just looking back on the replay that we've seen. If she gives it out, I wouldn't have been surprised. And giving it not out, I wouldn't have been. It's a tight.
It's one of those. It would have been umpire's call, I think, on the decision review system.
It's such a big shout because it's Beaumont, isn't it? It's such a big.
I mean, Cross was pleading.
Yeah, she
was like, "I've hit me England teammate of year after year on the pads, and I think it's close." She's bowling again to Graves, who isn't an England teammate, but competently drives the ball up to mid-on and doesn't get a run there. This has been a good over from Kate Cross. She's roaring in, isn't she? She's giving this everything. I mean, she will play probably bigger games this summer, but actually, for Kate Cross, there aren't many bigger games than being able to put the red rose on your chest and run in and bowl at the top of your effort to try and get a wicket for Lancashire from the James Anderson end at Emirates Old Trafford. Doesn't manage to. Sophie Eccleston's arm is whirling round like a windmill. She's ready to go. And I think we're going to see these two just really try and just get the wickets and get Lancashire Thunder into this game here. It's going to be worth watching. 13 without loss after 2.
It's a great first over from Kate Cross. So the big shout for LBW. Just one coming off it. But this potentially where it might be won or lost here with Cross and Eccleston. Eccleston can back up what Cross did. These two could have a little stint together in through the course next 2 or 3 overs. It might be a way for Thunder to get back in.
And why not with Sophie Eccleston? Because she's that good a bowler that people don't generally get her off the square anyway. So, you know, there's no risk to having all the fielders up. She's gone with her 2 fielders that she is allowed outside the 25-yard circle at deep mid-wicket, a few paces in fact, on that side, out towards the hotel, and at cover. And Beaumont's gone for the reverse sweep down to third. Now, that is clever from Tammy Beaumont, and she's going to find a 4. And that was both brave, it was clever, it was innovative, it was class above all. 17 without loss, just a little reverse sweep down to third. It was almost as if she knew Sophie Eccleston was going outside off stump, and she could get it away.
It's a great shot selection too, isn't it? Because of the field, short fines up, short thirds in. If you get bat on ball and she's so skillful, she can control that, and he runs there for it.
And Beaumont's just not. He's finding the gaps that Lancashire Thunder couldn't. Does find mid-on this time. Cross returns it looking for the run-out, even though it was never on. But for a moment, with the veracity of the return on the throw, it looked as if it might be. 17 without loss it remains. Eccleston on her way to Beaumont. Keeps the stumps in play. She's learned her lesson as a woman who has occupied the #1 spot in T20 international cricket for most of her career. Dot ball there. It's just prodded into the offside on the defence. Once more from Eccleston. Throws it up. Cut behind square. Tumbling stop by Lamb. An important one. And keeps the scoring to just the 1 run. 18 without loss. The target 112, remember. But at the moment, it feels tense. There's a tension to it, isn't there? Even though the Blaze got off to a flyer chasing a low total, it feels as if ball is a little bit on top, which is rare in T20 cricket. Graves just checking leg stump to Eccleston. Has a look towards the hotel. I don't think that'll be interesting her too much during this over, but let's see. Eccleston bowls, and there's an appeal. Not quite sure what for, because it went past Threlkeld. It must have taken a bit of pad, and they must have thought maybe it was clipping the top of the off stump. We'll see the replay in a moment.
It looked high, didn't it, watching it live? But
well, she was a long way back, so it must have been... Ooh, I don't know. You know what? That wasn't a bad shot. If she's not hit that, although she has hit that, because she's added 1 to her total, so that may be what saved her, as Eccleston is prodded into the offside. Eccleston looks pretty unimpressed that she's going to concede 2 here, but she will concede 2. 21 without loss. You're with Mike Perkins and Scott Reed of BBC Radio Lancashire, BBC Radio Manchester, watching Lancs TV and listening via the BBC Sport website and app.
Yeah, interesting first over from Sophie Eccleston. I suppose it comes with there's a little bit of pressure, isn't there? There's a bit of expectation. You're the best spinner in the world. The rankings might not back her up at the minute. I'm not sure where she is, but she's certainly...
I'm going to have to look them up.
One of, if not the best.
She's always in the top 3, put it that way.
Yeah, so yeah, you look at one of the best, if not the best in the world. And you're kind of thinking, right, we want you to bowl your bowlers back into the match here, basically.
Yeah.
Both Eccleston and Cross kind of in tandem to try and do that.
Well, this is going to be Cross, roaring in. And bowls to Graves, who was waiting and just about gets it round the corner. Sophie Morris there with the fielding. Fizzes it back to her wicketkeeper, Threlkeld. And there's 1 more to the total, 22 without loss. And we're back into this excellent game of Tammy Beaumont versus Kate Cross for probably a big moment in this match, but also the bragging rights next time they meet up at England camp. I'm sure they'll have a chat about this afterwards. As in comes Cross, bowling to Beaumont, who's down the track. He's got an outside half of the bat. There is a fielder back at third. It's Seren Smale, and she's quickly round and keeps it to 1. That's a great bit of fielding, because there was pressure on her to pick it up, but also to get the throw away. She does so. 23 without loss. Lancashire Thunder, with only 112 to defend, are clearly going to give it a real go in front of this crowd.
Well, they're going to have to do everything right, aren't they? Because it's a low score. They're going to have to bowl well. They're going to have to take their catches, and the ground fielding is going to have to be spot on.
Here comes Kate Cross. Bowling to Graves, who's down the track. It was a slower ball, and Graves advanced and ended up baseballing it into the leg side, and is going to come back for 2. And it goes to the striker's end, then returned to the... to the non-striker's end, fizzed back to the striker's end by Kate Cross. There's a run out at neither end. There's 2 to the total, 25 without loss. The chase 112, so it's 87 to win now for 99 balls. When you look at it like that, it looks very in control, but Kate Cross is determined to bowl her side back into this match. Here she comes. And delivers a ball that's driven through the gap at extra cover. And it's chased by Lister all the way out towards the boundary. Gets 3/4 of the way in the end, and 2 more are added to the total on the shorter hotel side, that one. 27 without loss, 85 needed off 98 balls. Well in control at this stage for the Blaze, who've started brightly, and they've used their power play well, and they've got their wickets in hand, which Thunder was one of the things they were struggling with. And Graves goes down the ground. Great shot. Over the top. It's going to plug in the turf, though, which means she'll only get 2 for it. But it was a brave stroke, and it was well played. And we're seeing why the Blaze are such a good outfit here, because it's not just Tammy Beaumont going after it. Teresa Graves is having to go, too. She's 12 off 9, 29 without loss. Well,
they're just not allowed Cross to settling this over. And the fact that they've advanced towards her, trying to just knock her off a length a little bit here, which she bowled so beautifully in her first over. It's a really good counter-attack this with the bat.
Graves clipping leg side this time from a Yorker length delivery, and she picks up 1 out to the fielder on the mid-wicket boundary, which is Danny Collins. 31 without loss.
It's a no ball as well.
Oh dear. And there's a big debate going on about it. And Kate Cross, I think, just wants to know... You know, she's not disputing it. She just wants to know exactly where she landed so she doesn't do it again, because this is going to be a free hit. And the single taker means they can adjust the field. So back goes a fielder to mid-wicket, and Collins will come in from square leg. Still only allowed 2 outside the 25-yard circle. They're also going to send long on back, bring third up. The ramp looks very much on to me. It's one of Kate Cross's favourite shots, but she could be on the wrong end of it here from Tammy Beaumont. You can almost guarantee Beaumont's probably going to find a gap here. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but you know what I mean. She swings at one and gets taken on the pad. And I suppose she did find a gap, because they were right back on the leg side, but Kate Cross was eager to get across and prevent it. And scoring being done. 31 without loss. It's a real proper power play, this one.
That was a really intriguing over, that, because neither Beaumont or Graves were content to allow Kate just to come and do a thing, which she did really well in the first over. They used her feet. They were really attacking. They really went for Kate Cross there, trying to advance towards her, use their feet, try and just knock her off a line and length a little bit. That's a good over, that. But it was quite interesting to watch, because I think the decision is we can't just defend here, Kate Cross. I mean, there's an element that you can absorb a bit of pressure when you are chasing a relatively small total. But that was a really intriguing over, that from the batting side of it, the way they tried to take the attack a little bit to Kate Cross.
It's going to be Sophie Morris now to come into the bowling attack. So we've had a different bowler for every over from this end. And Sophie Morris will have the 5th, so big pressure on her. There was a good loud shout of "come on, Sophie," as she started her over. Maybe a few in from Upton Cricket Club, where she plays her club cricket. 32 without loss. She's their leading wicket taker at the moment in the team she plays club cricket in. I know that because I played against them yesterday and they beat us quite comprehensively, even without Sophie Morris. But this is where her season really matters. It's wearing the all red of Thunder. That's what counts for her, and she bowls now, and it's driven into the offside, and there'll be a single on offer. added to the total. 33 without loss. We'll bring Polly Starkey back at the end of this over to get her thoughts. Now she's scampered back from pitch side. And it's looking as if the Blaze are starting to break the back of this chase. 79 now needed off 94 as Morris delivers. That's a good ball. And it's played into the onside, and Seren Smale picks up. No run.
Worth a look at Phoebe pretty soon. Phoebe Graham, that little extra height, maybe there's a little extra bounce potentially, just try and offer something different.
Morris again. Heaved out into the leg side, and the fielder's at mid-wicket, so Morris has got a lot of running to do. Fee Morris, that is. It's Sophie with the bowling at the moment. Fee Morris with the fielding. 2 more to the total. 35 without loss. The Blaze looking in control, but can the pressure be added? And just to go back to that earlier bit of housekeeping, Sophie Eccleston is currently the #1 women's international T20 bowler. Deepti Sharma second, and Sarah Glenn, actually, another England player, is third, as that one's hit through extra cover, and it's going to be away for 4 runs. Eccleston chasing to retrieve that one from over the rope. 39 without loss. A lovely, lovely shot, and Graves and Beaumont look like they're enjoying being out here at Old Trafford. Slightly down the track from Graves there, and just met it exactly where she wanted.
Good placement, isn't it? There's no risk involved in it at all. It's a real safe shot and beautifully placed.
Right through extra cover. Does Morris adjust what she does at all? Tosses it up, hit into the leg side. There's fielders both at mid-wicket in the ring and back on the rope, crucially, on that occasion. Fee Morris returns it. 40 without loss. We've had 5 overs of this innings. I will hand you over to Scott Reed, and he will be joined by Polly Starkey.
Yeah, 112 is the target. Cheers, Mike. 112 to win. They've set off like the proverbial. Look at the run rate there. They're soared in front of where they need to be, way ahead of where Thunder bounced along at. The worm is creeping up in the right way for Blaze. It's going to take something special with the ball here for Thunder to try and get themselves back into this game. Maybe it could be Phoebe Graham, perhaps. She's coming in from that far end. It's all yours, Polly.
Phoebe Graham from the James Anderson end to Graves. It's an attempt, but Ellie Threlkeld whips off the bails. There'll be no run from that. 41 without loss.
Good glove work, wasn't it, by Ellie? We know what she's capable of doing, but again, nifty work.
Yeah, Ellie Threlkeld is probably the best wicket-keeper on the circuit, in my opinion. She's one of the best in the country, and she makes very difficult things look quite easy, and that's very, very rare in cricket, I think. Phoebe Graham looks to continue her over. To Graves again. As Graves takes hold of that, but it goes straight to Kate Cross. He's fielding out of mid-on. The Blaze definitely have the upper hand in this game so far. They just have started far quicker than the Thunder did. And that target is looking not too far away. Graham in again to Graves. He plays that down the ground, goes through the legs of the fielder, Fee Morris, and that heads all the way to the boundary. Kate Cross was in pursuit, but it's gone all the way for 4. Just a slight mistime on the fielding, which led to the boundary. There's plenty of power on that shot as well, and it just guided away under the point at Old Trafford. Graham charging in again to Graves. He plays that back down the ground. Won't be a run on offer. 45 without loss.
Yeah, that last shot, as you mentioned, described in commentary, that power that she got, just a little shuffle back onto that back foot, and she's nicely set, and then loads of bottom hand, punching the ball away for 4. Really nicely timed.
Yeah, Therese Graves has started opening the batting for the Blaze in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. As Graham continues. And there's a bit of a yelp from Ellie Threlkeld, but nothing coming of it. Theresa Graves, as I say, she played 7 matches for the side, but none of them were actually in the Charlotte Edwards Cup last season. She did score 118 runs, including a half-century, but she's taken on that role of opening the batting and being at the top of the order for the Blaze, which I think this is her best performance so far. Graham, as Graves plays it down the ground, there's an attempted run out. It's a neat one. It wasn't a direct hit, but Phoebe Graham tidies up the fielding there, 46 without loss, heading into the final ball of the over. Tammy Beaumont just walking down the wicket, doing a little bit of gardening there. The advantage Blaze have here is that they haven't lost any wickets, and they're looking a lot more comfortable than the Thunder were at this stage of the game. Graham with their last ball of the over to Beaumont. He slices that into the ground, won't get a run off it. And end of the over, 46 without loss after 6 overs.
Yeah, just pulled the length back there. Phoebe Graham, final ball of that over, just dragged it back a little bit. There's so little pace on it to use off this surface. Like a pull shot, but not timed. But it's they're way ahead of the game here. It's gonna take a pretty startling collapse from this position, you would think, or something super special with the ball by Thunder to try and get back into it.
Yeah, for comparison, at this stage of the game, Thunder were 22 for 2, so had less than half of the runs and also had lost 2 wickets. So you suspect the Blaze are very much in the driving seat here. Looks like it will be Sophie Morris to continue the bowling. It's confusing in a team when you've got 2 Morrises and a Norris.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one finding that a bit confusing.
There's Morris with her off spin. There's a big appeal. Not an appeal from Morris herself. It was more Ellie Threlkeld. The umpire isn't interested. It's kind of the 3rd cry for LBW so far, but as I say, Morris wasn't interested. Morris once again gets hold of that and sends it all the way to the boundary. It was not quite, was it quite a full toss, but it wasn't the best delivery, and Graves just takes hold of it and swoops it down the ground over the head of the fielders. Total moving to 50 without loss. The 50 partnership up from 40 balls. Morris again, that's tossed up into the air. Potential catch, and the catch is taken. Tara Norris takes the catch. Sophie Morris with the bowling. The first breakthrough for the Thunder. 50 without 1. And that means that Graves will head back 29 from 23. It's one of her best performances in a Blaze shirt. She's done what she's needed to do at the top of the order. But ultimately, it was a slightly mistimed, silly shot that led to her dismissal. Brings Catherine Bryce out to the middle, the Scotland international, who has had a lot of success in the last few weeks and months, as we've mentioned on the stream already, with Scotland, but also coming back to the Blaze and just proving an essential part of this side.
Well, it's priceless, isn't it? The experience of going away, having that international experience. When you bring some of the senior players back into the dressing room, it must make a huge impact. And what a lovely time to come out and bat. I mean, it's a great platform. Beaumont and Graves batted really nicely. They've set a very, very solid platform. It's a winning platform, really, for the Blaze, and perfect time to come out and just try and keep it ticking forward.
62 runs to win from 81 balls. Sophie Morris into Bryce, who reverse sweeps that. It seems to hit the knee of Fee Morris, who eventually does the fielding. .51 for 1. Interesting decision to go with Sophie Morris in the bowling. I expected them to exhaust Kate Cross and Sophie Eccleston earlier on, as Morris continues, and that's swept by Tammy Beaumont. It heads out to the boundary in front of the hotel. The fielding done out there. Looks like Alice Clark, a substitute fielder, but I'm not quite sure if that's correct.
It's a long way out there, isn't it? It's like a different postcode out there. It's a big old boundary.
Morris with the final ball of the over. And that's chipped into the ground by Beaumont. There won't be a run available, finishing the over 53-4-1.
Yeah, tidy stuff. A little bit of relief for Thunder. Got themselves a breakthrough. Got to keep going, haven't they? Need a little spell in the game where the ball's on top, take some wickets, try and get some pressure back on Blaze. But the problem is you've got two of the most experienced batters you could really wish for in this situation. You've got Beaumont, who's bats on a different planet, really, and Bryce, who has got bundles of experience at the very top of the game. So they're perfectly set to try and manage this run chase, and they don't need to take too many risks. You know, I mean, they're going way above what's required. They only need 4.5 and over, and they're at 7.5 and over. So it's all going well. So it's a challenge this for Thunder. Even if they go on to lose the game, there'll be a lot that the coaches and the captain will be looking at here as to what they're doing right, even if it turns out to be a defeat.
Fee Morris will be bowling from the James Anderson end, off spin into Bryce, who reverse sweeps her, heads behind Ellie Threlkeld, the wicket keeper, but fielding is done by Emma Lamb. There's only a single available.
There's only really Emma Lamb that was in that top order for Thunder that got going, that got a feel of the pitch, the pace of the pitch, really, that found run scoring okay. And it's such a poor start, wasn't it, in that power play? It's so difficult to come back when you have such a shaky start.
Morris once again to Beaumont. He plays that back behind the bowler. She'll take the one run. And as you were saying before, this is a great platform for Catherine Bryce and Tammy Beaumont to just go out there and bat out, and they've only got 57 runs they need to win. It seems extremely achievable for the Blaze unless a miracle is pulled off by the Thunder. Morris again, and that's just whipped by Beaumont into the leg side. .56 for 1 after 7.3 overs. Morris into Beaumont, who just plays that into the ground. There won't be a run available.
Just a bit quicker that from Morris, fizzed a little bit quicker. She's varied it quite well in this over.
Yeah. Fee Morris, the handy all-rounder. She didn't perform with the bat today, but perhaps with the ball she can put in a good shift as Beaumont chips that down to point. Seren Smale, who of course can wicket keep, doesn't usually take the gloves for the Thunder, as Ellie Threlkeld is quite a difficult person to displace. When you know, we've got her behind the stumps. It's hard to challenge that for that position.
Yeah, it's only going to be injury, really, isn't it? I think that's going to see that change.
Morris from the James Anderson end, and Catherine Bryce just plays that straight. The end of the over, 57 for 1. 55 required to win. They're over halfway there. Tammy Beaumont and Catherine Bryce, both very experienced players, out in the middle, looking to take their team over the line and go 5 from 5 in the Charlotte Edwards Cup.
Some start, that, isn't it? If that turns out to be the case. That is a pretty formidable start, kind of halfway, almost halfway through the group campaign, and well, it would be halfway through the group campaign. You've won every match. If that turns out to be the case here for the Blaze, take some catching.
Yeah, the Blaze and the South East Stars are looking the two dominant teams in this tournament so far. Central Sparks have also been pretty decent across it. But as we say, there's plenty more cricket to be played, and finals day is yet to be decided, as Sophie Eccleston will come in to Tammy Beaumont, flicking that right to the fielder, who tidies that up and prevents any runs. Sophie Eccleston, who we mentioned was playing for her cricket club Alvanley yesterday. She took 5 for 12 Her brother took 3 wickets, so the pair took 8 between them. As Tammy Beaumont goes through for the single.
That's not fair.
I know. Imagine turning up and you're facing Sophie Eccleston. I think it'd be quite exciting, but also you're probably going to get a duck. Yeah, but that just shows the world's best bowler loves club cricket so much. She'll head back to her cricket club the day before a regional game and bowl 10 overs. Eccleston to Bryce, who chips that out, and the boundary rider takes that. They'll get 2 for it, and just move the score to 60 for 1. Eccleston, left arm spin.
Shot.
And Bryce plays that down the ground all the way to the boundary, a deep mid-wicket. Fielder, is that? Fee Morris looks in a bit of discomfort. Looks like it could be her elbow or wrist.
Yeah, it's a slightly awkward fall, wasn't it? I mean, she's done really well to try and get across the ground and stop it. So she's put the dive in. It's a really good shot off the back foot, pulled away through mid-wicket. But it looked like an awkward fall. Yeah, she kind of got almost like a right elbow or shoulder kind of tucked under her body.
Yeah, it's like as she went down, her arm kind of buckled under her. Looked a nasty one.
It did.
We'll see whether she continues.
And unfortunately, she didn't stop the boundary either. Just to compound it.
Yeah, a lot of commitment, and it didn't quite pay off.
No, I say it was a good shot. It was a lovely shot. Pulled in front of square of the back foot for 4. So she's all right. Her old mate Kate Cross said, "Come on, you'll be all right." Friendly tap on the shoulder. Sure, that's all she needs.
Oh, she's laughing. I think she'll be all right. Looked like a nasty one though. Looks like she's going to continue here, which is good news for Fee Morrison, the Lancashire Thunder. There's still a decent crowd in, which is nice to see. A bit of atmosphere.
It's been a good day for that, hasn't it, actually? It's helped nice and sunny. The weather forecast has been pretty solid for today all week, so if you were thinking of spending your Sunday afternoon here at Emirates Old Trafford, then you've got a good value for your day. Double the action.
Sophie Eccleston will continue the bowling. Bowling to Catherine Bryce. He chips it up. It goes behind Ellie Threlkeld. It's racing away to the boundary in front of the pavilion. 2 fielders in pursuit, but it will go 4-4. Another boundary to the Blazers total in their run chase, 68-4-1 after 8.5 overs. 44 required to win. That run rate is just slipping down and down, which is very indicative of the Blaze and how they've been playing the last few overs. Eccleston in again. And that's defended to Seren Smale.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's much you can do here as the bowling side. You've just not got enough runs to work with. You try and take some wickets. Your fielding can be as good as it can be. Try and take your catches. Try and keep your energy levels up. But the harsh truth is there's just not enough runs to work with. And even with Kate Cross and Sophie Eccleston adding considerable amount of talent and skill to your bowling lineup, the Blaze, with their experience in the top 3, these 2 in particular, I mean, there's just enough there for them to have thought at the halfway point 112 is comfortably gettable, and that's proving to be the case.
As Fee Morris will continue the bowling, Tammy Beaumont slices that away into the leg side.
Well, it's good to see Fee Morris bowling, because that looked, when she landed during the course of that last over, like a really horrible fall, and that she'd done herself a bit of a nasty injury, so it's nice to see that she's okay.
Morris to Bryce. He plays that into the offside. Go to extra cover.
Because she's such an important player, isn't she? Both with... No, it's not happened for today with the bat, but both with the bat and with the ball. I mean, she's going to contribute to somewhere along the line. She's turning into a really significant player for Thunder.
Fee Morris in again. To Beaumont. He tries to sweep that. The bell's whipped off and it's signalled a wide by the umpire. Yeah, Fee Morris is one of those players that, you know, she's had a very long cricket career. She's played a lot of county cricket before regional cricket existed, and then was with the Western Storm for a while and lost a contract, but came to Lancashire Thunder and has absolutely thrived, and has kind of, as a big appeal from Morris, but the umpires, again, not interested. Tammy Beaumont given another life. But yeah, she's come to the Lancashire Thunder and her game's come on massively, and she's kind of given herself a bit of longevity. And so it's good to see stories like that, because she is kind of a bit of a stalwart of the county game. Tammy Beaumont chips that out to Silly mid-on.
Yeah, sometimes that can happen. Kind of, you just, for whatever reason, just kind of fizzles out a little bit at your previous club and change your scenery, change your venue, new lease of life.
Morris to Beaumont. He takes hold of that, plays that to deep square leg. Fielding done by Danny Collins, who was important in the batting innings for the Lancashire Thunder.
You can just click on it as well. I mean, she's obviously a good player, so you just maybe just fresh set of eyes, different environment, and things fall into place.
Morris to Bryce. Bryce plays that behind the fielding done by Sophie Morris, who stops that very well at backward square leg. A score 73 for 1 at the end of the 10 overs. And I'm going to say bye to Scott Reed for a minute, and Mike Perkins will come back in and join us. Target 39 runs away for the Blaze. Those 39 runs need to be scored in 60 balls, which is very achievable. The run rate here and the worm, you can see the one wicket lost for the Blaze, and all those wickets actually at the end lost for the Lancashire Thunder, where they had a bit of a skittling at the end.
Yeah, that felt crucial, them just not getting a few boundaries at the end, but also in the power play. Certainly the Blaze worm wiggling a bit more as Morris comes on and bowls. It's down the leg side, though, Sophie Morris, that is, and it is a wide, so 74 for 1 at the halfway stage of this chase, even though it was 73 for 1 at the halfway stage, because this is a new over being bowled by Sophie Morris. That's a dot ball, so sort of makes some sort of amends for the last one, but it was 44 for 3, the Lancashire Thunder score, so that's the reason for the gap on those worms you were seeing between overs on Lancs TV, and bringing you up to date as well on the BBC Sport website and app, as this one is driven down the onside of straight. No run on offer again, Sophie Morris just gathering the ball, but the game feels as if it's disappearing over the hill, to use that analogy, and Catherine Bryce faces up and drives smoothly out towards the cover boundary. Oh, and there's a trip, and there's a real problem here for the fielder who has gone down. It looks like Danny Collins, who patrols out there so often, and she's gone down horribly there, just trying to make sure that she got across the turf to get to that ball that she probably never really was going to get to, but because she's Danny Collins and because she has such pace across the turf, she thought she could get there, but all of a sudden something's happened in her leg. I don't know whether she's landed awkwardly or whether a muscle's gone or something like that, but she's gone down, and this looks really serious and horrible for Danny Collins. We'll obviously give her a little bit of privacy while she gets the treatment here on Lancs TV, but there's a conversation going on between Phoebe Graham and Ellie Threlkel. What was your view of that, Polly Starkey?
Yeah, it was nasty. It almost looked like a hamstring. I'm not quite sure, but she went down holding the back of her knee. So whether her hamstring has just gone But
yeah, or maybe even lower down that. I mean, almost the left leg looked as if it was on a slight angle, so I don't know if it's something around the knee, but we're obviously speculating from this distance in the Brian Statham end. She's back on her feet, which is an encouraging sign. It looks as if she will be able to walk from the pitch, but I think the physio will want albeit with the help of the physio here, and the arm is round the shoulder of the physio. I think she's enough on her feet here, although she's still bending down and having to hold the knees. We see some shots of the crowd, plenty still in here enjoying themselves, which is good to see as the sun begins to sort of dip slightly as we head through this nice evening at the start of June here in Manchester. But real concern here for Danny Collins. Good to see she is able to get onto her feet. We're going to have a 12th fielder being brought out here to just make sure that Thunder are up to their full quota. See Shachi Pai there enjoying a joke up on the balcony as we panned across those up on the point. So good to see, plenty enjoying the hospitality, but, well, poor Danny Collins here is in a bit of trouble, in a bit of bother there. So she has been taken from the field by the physio to get some treatment. Sophie Morris, who conceded 4 there after all that, that's important to say. It takes the total to 78 for 1. It takes Blaze within 34 of their target with 57 balls remaining, and Catherine Bryce settles back over her bat and will go on to the back foot this time, cutting the ball away. It's a long chase, and this one will go for 4 as well. So back-to-back boundaries for Catherine Bryce, 82 for 1. The required number of runs down to 30, and this game racing away from Lancashire Thunder. The Blaze looking to go 5 from 5, and Catherine Bryce, she had 153 runs in this competition, having returned from helping Scotland to the T20 World Cup, and she's adding to that here. So coming into today's game, she had those 153 runs. Polly Starkey, she's in, as we see, an inflatable Lanky disappear behind the stand there on Lancs TV, and Sophie Eccleston tumbles across and makes the stop there, 82 for 1. Polly Starkey, what are you making of this as we approach the end of this Sophie Morris over?
I was just going to say, the inflatable Lanky caught me really off guard. I was really not expecting to see that.
They just popped up, didn't they? As this one's driven, this is going to be a third boundary of an over, I think, from Catherine Bryce. Really nicely driven along the ground. The pursuit is on. Credit to Tara Norris, even in this situation, to get across the turf, slide and reel that one in. But more runs to the total, 84 for 1, 20. Excuse me. 28 left needed. Polly Starkey, do some talking whilst I get a glass of water.
Yeah, I think it's been tough for Sophie Morris. She's been put in a difficult position, but I think ultimately that's a positive thing in the long term. Putting younger players in difficult positions where they need to perform, and you know that they probably knew bowling her they're going to lose the game, but putting her in that position and putting her under a bit of pressure, I think, is really good, because those moments develop players massively. And so, you know, although she was hit for 2 boundaries in that over and went for 11 runs, she got the wicket.
Given I'm choking, I think I'm going to let you take the next over here, Polly.
As Morris is in, and there'll be no run.
And given you're excellent, of course, as well, but particularly as I'm, I'm choking to death here, slowly in the corner, I think it's probably wise you pick up here.
Morris in to Beaumont. He chips that up in the air, and the catch is safely taken by Sophie Eccleston, but it's signalled a no ball. The umpire signalled a no ball, so there is not a wicket. Sophie Eccleston looks absolutely fuming. She had her arms out, questioning the umpire, and has tossed the ball back, and she does not look happy. Tammy Beaumont, on the other hand, is grinning. She is
like the proverbial Cheshire Cat. It was definitely an over.
Yeah, it was above waist high.
It was well above waist high.
Yeah. Sophie Eccleston is still not happy about that, though. But the right decision by the umpire. Tammy Beaumont,
I think
slightly
she's
relieved.
May go back to extra cover and call Tammy Beaumont a lucky so-and-so here, if I'm honest, but there we go. They're going to Well, they can't adjust the field, I don't think, because there was definitely not a run taken. There was quite some discussion, though, with Fee Morris.
Morris to bolt, and there's a swipe at that, but it just falls to the ground.
Tammy Beaumont looks like she's got somewhere to be at the moment.
Wonder what she's got in the calendar. She's having a look around at her options. 85 for 1 with 27 runs to win. Morris is in, and that's the reverse sweep. Not quite executed, and it will go straight to Eccleston.
It's quite some achievement to hit a reverse sweep to extra cover, but she's managed it.
If anyone can do it, Tammy Beaumont can do it. She's going to execute it. But, you know, not quite what she wanted to play, but very, very creative, I think is what I'd say. Morris and Beaumont plays that out to point.
After the 4 first ball, though, and just with England in mind, she might be a little disappointed at her strike rate here. She's obviously done the right thing for her team and got them through. But actually, in terms of getting back into the side, I mean, we saw Elise Perry reinvent herself for T20 cricket by upping the strike rate. I think Beaumont might be a little disappointed with where she is in terms of runs and
Bryce
balls.
plays that straight to the fielder. Tara Norris with the catch. Morris was into the attack, and Bryce just slightly mistimed it, didn't get enough on it, and it just went straight to Tara Norris at mid-wicket, who comfortably took the catch. The second wicket for the Blaze falls 86 for 2 after 11.5 overs.
Yeah, I suppose a slow strike rate is better than being out, which is what's the fate that's befallen Catherine Bryce there, but she can just punch gloves with her sister Sarah, as she so often probably does, because they sometimes swap for Scotland as well. And Sarah Bryce likes a bat, and she's on her way just to get a little bit of form in these closing stages. She hit a magnificent 100, didn't she, in the warm-ups to this competition? Absolutely smashed it everywhere. And I think it was that. Speaking of strike rates, that was at about a strike rate of 200.
Yeah, it was
not
from,
more.
I think it was from, like, I'm scared to say,
was it the
20
30 balls, was it?
26 balls, I want to say.
Was it as slow as 26? Goodness me. Anyway, she smashed, I think it was Sunrisers on that day, all over the place. And she may well go about it the same here, because what she got to lose, really, with 26 needed off 49.
Morris to play to Sarah Bryce. Goes behind her, down to the boundary, but Sophie Morris is in pursuit. They'll run through for 2. Fee Morris looks a little bit disappointed by that. She thought potentially she could have created something.
Yeah, found the inside edge first ball, and it just escaped past the stumps, didn't it, on the leg side, which was a little disappointing. Crowd still enjoying themselves, dancing away to the music we're seeing here on Lancs TV, and they've had a good day here today for sure, and it's been great to have you with us, not just on Lancs TV via the YouTube channel, but also thanks to BBC Radio Manchester, BBC Radio Lancashire on the BBC Sport website and app. It's going to be Sophie Eccleston to come on and bowl from this Brian Statham end, and the game seems to have gone, but she'd still like the wicket of Tammy Beaumont, which she thought she'd got with a catch at extra cover in the previous over, but it was a no ball. Dot to start. Beaumont prodding onside. 24 more required here, as Norris just skips a couple of steps to her right at extra cover. Still pride to play for these Lancashire Thunder players in that all-red strip. They've waited a long time to get their go here at Emirates Old Trafford, and they are making the most of it as that single is nudged into the leg side. 89 for 2, but it looks as if it will end in defeat today. 23 required of 46. Just the well, it's well in control now for the Blaze, I think it's fair to say. Beaumont relaxes at the non-striker's end, and Sarah Bryce faces up to Sophie Eccleston, which will be a good bit of practice for when they potentially meet at the T20 World Cup. England v Scotland could be on the fixture list, as it will be at the T20 World Cup happening in the men's form of the game at the moment. 2 taken there with that little nudge away on the leg side. As you say, there's a game going on at the minute in that men's T20 World Cup, and it's West Indies versus Papua New Guinea as Sophie Eccleston bowls, and this one's cut away behind square. Eccleston can't believe it. It's going to be 4 runs. And the target now down to 17. 95 for 2. Chopped away nicely by Sarah Bryce, and that'll give her a bit of confidence, won't it?
Yeah, you imagine Sophie Eccleston would have been hoping to put in that winning performance with the ball today, but it hasn't quite happened so far. Sarah Bryce looking very comfortable there, and she's got Tammy Beaumont at the other end, who is looking in fine form and is putting in a good shift.
Eccleston bowls. Oh, that's really spun. That has jumped over the top of the stumps from a roundabout leg stump, and Bryce was back, and it beat her all ends up. And I think that was one of those deliveries that got her a 5 for Alvanley Cricket Club yesterday. Real good game, that one. They beat Bollington by 12 runs in the end. I had a little look at that one as in comes Sophie Eccleston and bowls, and this one's prodded back into the pitch. No run on offer on that occasion. Same result as the last one, a dot ball, but the last one was much more exciting. So 17 left to win here, Polly Starkey. The Blaze will no doubt look to get this over as soon as possible now.
Yeah, they'll look to wrap this up. For context, at the same point, Lancashire Thunder were 71 for 4, so in a very different situation. And yes, not many runs to go.
So Fee Morris will continue from the James Anderson end by the looks of things, Polly Starkey.
I'm surprised they haven't brought Kate Cross on to bowl more. She hasn't particularly been very used.
Yeah, what are the overs at the minute? We've had Cross for just the 2 for 11. Eccleston's had 3 for 19. Norris just the 1 for 11. Fee Morris 13 for 1. Phoebe Graham 1 over 6 without reward, and Sophie Morris has taken 1 for 20. Oh, 1 wicket for 26 runs off 3.
Fee Morris to bowl her final over, and Tammy Beaumont takes that down to deep backward square leg. She'll run through 4-2. Sarah Bryce looked keen for a third, but stays 2. A score 97-4-2, just shy of the 100 mark. Morris from the James Anderson end into Beaumont, who drives that straight towards Tara Norris at mid-wicket.
Powerful stroke, that one. As I say, Norris will have an eye on that T20 Men's World Cup. West Indies, 69 for 3, chasing 137 to beat Papua New Guinea. So that's 68 from another 8.5 overs.
Morris again, and Tammy Beaumont just steps back, takes hold of it, and the fielding's done by Alice Clark, the substitute fielder. He came on for Danny Collins, injured earlier in the innings. 14 required to win.
Another wicket-keeper, Alice Clark, isn't she?
Morris to Bryce, who chips that out to extra cover. Total 99-4-2. 13 to win from 38 balls. It's creeping closer to the target as Morris will continue the bowling for the Lancashire Thunder. Tammy Beaumont can only find Emma Lamb. Won't be a run available. At this point, they're well above the run rate. The required run rate 2.1 and over, and their current run rate 7.2 and over. So strides above it. Tammy Beaumont sweeping that. Only finds Sophie Morris. He'll get the single. That single is enough, and that takes us to the 100 mark at the end of the over. 100-4-2. with 6 overs remaining, 12 runs required to win. The game is very much in the Blazers' hands as they're crawling to a 5th victory in the Charlotte Edwards Cup, 5 from 5, a perfect record, with eyes set on finals day, a place they reached last year where they lost to the Southern Vipers.
Well, Polly Starkey, I'm conscious you're going to have to scamper down to pitch side at some point, so I will pick up the commentary. I know Scott Reed is poised to rejoin us at some point as well, but yeah, I think we're reaching the final stages of this game as this one is reverse swept into the outfield by Tammy Beaumont, who's back for 2, so that's helping the old strike rate again. And she's 30 off 41 now, 102 for 2. 10 runs required for the Blaze to go 5 from 5 in this competition, the Charlotte Edwards Cup, and they're looking in a very good place to do that. Earlier wins for Sunrisers and South East Stars as Eccleston bowls. It's swept hard into the leg side. Another single on offer. So Beaumont on to 31, not out, 103 for 2. Sarah Bryce back to mark the guard once more, but knows she won't have to do it too many more times. Her side in control, although she does have the #1 T20 bowler in the world to contend with, and she's going to get out to a no. It's been dropped at short third, well, backward point really, by Emma Lamb. She started out backward point, probably dropped it at short third. It's a big top edge, this one. It spirals away from Emma Lamb, and she just couldn't get her fingers under the ball. She'll be playing a lot of cricket this summer and perhaps looked that way as she tried to get there. And in comes Eccleston. Chopped away. Graham gets there with a hand, using those long arms to get to the ball and stop it going away towards the boundary. So 106 for 2, and the score is ticking away now. Just the 6 more runs to win, and I've been told I can keep Polly Starkey up here in the commentary box, which is good news, as this one's been swept away behind square on the offside, and Sophie Morris will get round and pick up and return. Another one of those runs required. 5 to win now off 31 balls, but it's been really good to have you with us on the BBC Sport website. Thanks to BBC Radio Manchester and BBC Radio Lancashire, and also on Lancs TV. You've been with Mike Perkins, Scott Reed and Polly Starkey as this one is driven into the offside. Oh, there's going to be a mix-up and a run-out, is there? No. Sarah Bryce gets back to her ground because the ball was thrown to the wrong end. It was thrown to Sophie Eccleston, who then tried to get it to the keeper's end. Couldn't quite manage to do so. And it is with 5 runs to win, 107 for 2. Polly Starkey, you're here, so I think you should do the next over. So we are in the closing stages of this game. The sun's starting to set here in Manchester, and it's very much starting to set on this match, isn't it?
5 overs left and 5 runs required for the Blaze to secure the win here at Emirates Old Trafford in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. Kate Cross will bowl what will probably be the final over. It could potentially be another one.
It's good to see Cross taking the ball in this situation, though, because there's not a lot for her to gain. She went for 1 from the first over and then goes for 11, I think it was, off... Oh, sorry. 10 off the next over. So it's good to see that actually it shows what playing for Lancashire Thunder means to Kate Cross, really, that she'll take the ball in this situation.
I think it's also really good because one of the reasons she's not in England's T20 squad is her bowling at the death. So for her to have the opportunity to do it in a pressure situation for Lancashire Thunder is a great opportunity to show to John Lewis that, you know, I can bowl at the death. I
mean, obviously, in terms of the match situation, the pressure isn't on, but the fact she might get whacked for 4 here by Tammy Beaumont, is the pressure's on.
As Cross to Beaumont, and Beaumont plays that behind her, goes down to deep backward square leg, but got that covered with Sophie Morris. Yeah, I guess it's an opportunity for her to be like, you know, I'm going to bowl this over and try and concede as few runs as possible and keep the game alive for another over.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the chance she has. Whether that happens is a different story, because the Blaze will really want to get this wrapped up. As cross once again to Sarah Bryce. Chips that up in the air. There should be a wicket. The wicket is taken. Seren Smale takes the catch, dismiss Sarah Bryce. Kate Cross with a wicket at the death. 108 for 3. This isn't going to be a game-changing wicket for the Lancashire Thunder. The game is kind of out of their hands, but they're doing everything they can to hold on to the game for as long as possible. And that wicket did just that.
Yeah, the DJ might have greeted it with something more than Fleetwood Mac's go your own way had it been a game in the balance. But as you say, it's a good little exercise this for Kate Cross. She might at some point in the international summer have to defend an unlikely 5 to keep a game alive, and she's looking to do this here. She's still got 4 to play with. Nadine de Klerk on her way to the wicket. Talented South African all-rounder.
Yeah, the South African international, 89 caps, 987 runs.
Topped the wicket charts in this competition last season as well with 15, but bat in hand is her task now. Just needs 1 boundary to win this game.
4 required from 28 balls. Kate Cross in from the James Anderson end. Nadine de Klerk gets hold of that. I think she was trying to find a boundary, but Tara Norris safely takes hold of it, and there will not be a run available. The 4 runs still required.
Yeah, just sort of was trying to whack that one as far as she could, but didn't get much of it.
Kate Cross again. Nadine de Klerk gets hold of that. It runs away to the boundary. That will be the 4, and that will be the conclusion of the game. Nadine de Klerk hitting the winning runs for the Blaze. Kate Cross not able to make it last another over. 26 balls remaining, and the Blaze have secured victory. They are 5 from 5 in the Rachel Hayhoe, the Charlotte Edwards Cup even. The 20-over competition. Another step on their road to finals day. Tammy Beaumont, 34 not out at the end. And Nadine de Klerk with a brief performance, 4 from 2 deliveries, and hitting the winning runs here at Emirates Old Trafford.
Yeah, victory for the Blaze by 6 wickets. And to me, Polly Starkey, they look like the favourites for this competition at the moment. They got to finals last year. They clearly want to go one better. I know South East Stars are going well as well, but the Blaze look like they're really back to their best.
The Blaze really do. They've got that momentum, and I reckon that will just continue. They've been really, really strong to date with both bat and ball. We thought potentially it was just going to be a difficult track to bat on, but the Blaze proved that it was possible to get those runs, and they performed very well. Kirsty Gordon there on the screen, who took 5 for today, the best figures in the Charlotte Edwards Cup.
Yeah, she was what this victory was built on, Kirsty Gordon, as you're seeing there, just thanking the umpires on Lancs TV, on our YouTube pictures. Thank you for being with us on the BBC Sport website as well. It's been absolutely fantastic to have you here. Kirsty Gordon's 12 for 5 was what the victory was built on. Danny Collins with 30, the top score in the Thunder innings. But for the Blaze, Tammy Beaumont, 34 not out, was very, very convincing indeed at the top of the order, supported by Teresa Graves' 29, Catherine Bryce's 21, and Sarah Bryce's 8. Nadine de Klerk, 4 not out from 2 balls at the end. Nothing much to write home about in the Lancashire Thunder figures. Kate Cross, 1 for 16, and 1 for 18 for Fee Morris. Thank you for joining myself, Mike Perkins, and for joining Polly Starkey during this match. We will be back with you on Lancs TV soon, no doubt. Thanks to Scott Reed as well from BBC Radio Lancashire and BBC Radio Manchester. Thanks to Badger and Coombs on the cameras as well. But from Emirates Old Trafford, thank you for joining us today, and we will be back with you with more Charlotte Edwards Cup cricket soon.
I wanna fly the world.